Hello, hi. Okay, let me grab. All right, we are finally live on YouTube. Hello, everybody. Hi. Okay, so it took me a second because I had to set up the Rumble stream because it's very specific on setting up for Rumble. It's not like YouTube where I could just click it and go live. Thanks for making it here, guys. Appreciate that. I'm not sure if the other peeps are joining us. Let me see. Invite guest. Copy. All right, that's where we are. We're going to send that to Mideast and friends, see if they want to join. If they join, awesome. If they don't, is what it is. All right, so let's get this back on track. All right. Pull this up. Where is this? And I need to, oh, there's Mideast. I added him to the stage. There he is. What's up, man? What's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, I ended up moving to YouTube because I don't want to deal with all the crap.
Censorship.
Yeah, I just would like to read this without worrying and having to be afraid that we're gonna get taken down. So guys, I have the Cash App at the bottom if you want to support the stream. There were people who already sent Cash Apps on while streaming on TikTok. I hadn't even been able to get to that yet. So let's do a quick shout out to
Somebody
them.
send her $1 billion, please.
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
So Elizabeth had sent me $20 yesterday, probably while I was debating. She said, "Cook his ass." Yes, I did. Absolutely. Okay. Cricket 1031. She sent $20 on Cash App to support. Thank you so much. And then let me get to Stacy. She sent us $5 on Cash App. She said, "Thank you for taking this to YouTube so we could avoid COD." Yeah, absolutely, 100%. All right, let's get into the thick of it. So, China cyber activities probably prelude the election espionage. China is probing the presidential campaign for opportunities to tailor collection and gather insight on policy positions on U.S.-China issues. Thank you, Chica. Chica. Oh, today's going to be so bad for me. Thank you, Chico. He said, "Happy belated birthday. Much love. Keep up the good work. Thank you." Oh my God. Wow. Thank you, Delala. She sent $20. Can't wait to not hear the word gumdrop. Let's go. Yeah, thank you. I thought I was going to be able to do that all day, and I said, nah, I can't. So U.S. policy on China's longstanding high collection priority for Beijing, and Chinese cyber actors have conducted such activity in every U.S. presidential election campaign since at least 2008, according to redacted open source reporting, which means that this has been going on for a long time and they've been collecting quite a lot of data. However, I believe this was what our government's main issue with TikTok was that TikTok allows for massive amounts of data collection. And on top of that, they get to gear the algorithm to whatever they want you to align with politically. So the creation of TikTok was actually genius of the CCP to get involved with. Thank you, Michelle. She sent $5 on Super Sticker. Peace and love. Thank you so much. And Cheryl sent $9 as well. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Peace and love to you guys. Much respect. Thank you for supporting the channel. So Chinese cyber actors known in the private sector as APT31 redacted have targeted the personal email accounts of senior U.S. leadership, including officials in the executive office of the president and high-ranking officials in multiple executive branch organizations. Congress, and the federal judiciary. This is why they need to really lock down people's accounts and make sure they're using the official government channels in order to communicate with each other, right? Signal chat is not going to be appropriate. Private email servers, like what Hillary Clinton was doing in her home, is not going to cut it. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you so much. And like I said, I put the link, if you want, is in, I don't know if, is Scotty in that group chat? Scotty, if you have Discord, let me know. Thank you so much. Scotty sent me $5. Thank you for the support, man. Stinky sent me $5. Love seeing Millie on YouTube talking real news. Honestly, I might get comfortable doing this and maybe just never end up going back to TikTok. This is too much fun for me. So the judiciary branch, Congress, and the executive branch is where they have been targeting the personal email accounts, which, by the way, you shouldn't be doing top secret classified information with email accounts to begin with. And that's what Hillary Clinton got into a lot of trouble in regards to. Since 2017, a separate redacted had worked with redacted to enable more stealthy operations by identifying email addresses of the high-level U.S. officials, then requesting that redacted obtain or crack passwords for targeted accounts, redacted. As the 2020 election approaches, the IC has detected Chinese state-sponsored cyber actors targeting the former vice president's presidential campaign. Probably to gather intelligence that could enable future operations. The first instance this election cycle that we have seen them directly targeting the U.S. presidential campaign. China also conducted cyber espionage against U.S. election-related entities, redacted. The IC assessed that China does not currently intend to covertly interfere to try to sway the outcome of the election, although this activity would enable such operations if Beijing made a decision to do so. Which, according to the left, and I want to remind you guys of the Mueller report, and maybe I should pull up the Mueller report really quick so everybody understands what I'm talking about here. In the Mueller report, the simple putting out of Facebook ads was enough for them to say that it was election interference activity. So in order to interfere and influence the election, social media campaigns were enough for the left to say that's election interference activity and that the election was stolen, right? And so they do a complete flip around now to say that, well, no, that isn't election interference activity when it comes to Donald Trump. So let me see if I can pull up the Mueller report really quick. This might take just a few seconds to grab this because it's like deeply embedded in my documents. So, oh, Penny is here. Here we go. Let me see if I can get her on the stage. Hi, Penny. Can you hear me? Test.
Let's see if I figured this out. Can you hear me?
Yep, it sounds like it.
Cool.
So let me see if I can pull this up. I need to pull it up on the other screen here. So one sec. Okay. So right here, this is the report of special counsel Robert Mueller. Thank you, Donna. She sent $2 on the super chat, super sticker. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support, guys. And so right down here, Doodle Lady with the $10. Let's go, guys. Can we get big W's in the chat? And I'm not sure how YouTube works, but I think you're supposed to like the channel or something like that. But thank you so much, Doodle Lady, Donna, everyone who sent out the super chats today. Appreciate you. Let's get down here to the summary of the report. One sec. Okay. Because this is where the left like completely ends up being hypocritical in their analysis, because at one side of their mouth, social media campaigns are influencing elections, and then at the other side of their mouth, when it's Donald Trump, they do not want to admit that that was the case. It just take me a second to grab it. And by the way, the Russian intelligence also stole documents from the Hillary Clinton campaign. So it says, as set forth, and I'm going to highlight this right here. As set forth in detail in this report, special counsel investigation established that Russia interfered. Okay, interfered is the language that they use, not influenced. Okay, want to make that very clear. In the 2016 presidential election, principally through two operations. First, a Russian entity carried out a social media campaign that favored presidential candidate Donald J. Trump, okay, and disparaged president candidate Hillary Clinton. All right, so social media campaigns enough to be called interference in an election. Hey, thank you, JD. She sent us $10 on Super Chat. She says, we love you, Millie. I love you guys too. And that's why I'm here doing this, because it takes a lot of reading, takes a lot of energy, but it's good for everybody to understand how to counteract the left. Thank you. Is that Dick Goldman? Honestly, awesome name. I can't even hate on it. Thank you for the $20 Super Chat, man. Appreciate you. Much love to you as well. Thank you for the support. So let me get back to the document here. So as of May, APT31 actors sent a spear phishing emails containing tracking links to Gmail accounts of staffers associated with the presidential campaign. On June 4th, Google announced that APT31 was targeting the campaign. Google and the FBI both briefed campaign officials on the Chinese cyber operation shortly after discovering the activity. Google officials have publicly stated that the spear phishing attempts were unsuccessful, and then they redact the sentence afterwards. So I would love to know what it says afterwards. Redacted during the past year, Chinese cyber actors have collected U.S. election-related information from the U.S. Voter Database, a polling data company, political and nonprofit organizations. The nonprofit organizations are very important here, right, Penny? I just want to see it. Penny, is your mic working?
Absolutely. Well, is it working?
Yeah, now I can hear you now. Good. Chat,
Absolutely,
can you hear them? Okay, good. So this is why we keep pointing out that the nonprofits are paying a huge role, or playing a huge role in this entire interference activity, because as long as Neveroy Singham can send millions of dollars over to the United States to put towards these NGOs to cause chaos and division throughout the United States, that is to China's benefit. And there are other documents in this that back up that China specifically was trying to cause division on U.S. soil. So we'll get to there. Oh my God, you guys are showering me with so much love. I really didn't expect this. Digital sent us $9 on Cash App, or it's about $10. I don't know why they don't round it up by 1 penny, but thank you so much. And then ESCM, thank you so much. He says, miss you, Millie. New job. I can't listen while I work. Love what you do. Keep it up. And he sent us $10 on the Super Chat. Guys, hopefully when I do YouTube, if you can't catch me when you're working or doing other things, the great thing about YouTube is you can go back to my lives and watch the whole thing back over if you missed it. So that's the best part about YouTube here. Okay, so we covered the NGOs. So nonprofit organizations, fundraisers, advisory organizations for political campaigns. Internet activity and system information that operators can use to exploit accounts and identify other targets of interest. So the method of sending tracking links suggests that Chinese operators are mapping out the target network for follow-on approaches, possibly including tasking campaign staffers email accounts in Chinese military signal intelligence system for collection. Holy shit, you guys. Michael just sent us $50. He said, great job, Millie, longtime follower. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you and appreciate the support. You guys are so loving today. Holy crap. I'm really, really blessed to have such a supportful following, no matter where I go. So thank you guys so much. Let me get down to the knowledge of the campaign official operating system and software would allow cyber actors to determine whether they could quickly exploit vulnerabilities or if they need to develop malware to gain undetected access to the victim's machine. That's scary. If a target opened a spear phishing email with tracking link, even without clicking on any links, it would confirm an active account for cyber actors, potentially narrowing the target set for future operations. So that was the first document. I want to go into the influence that they are playing with sowing division within the country, because this is also part of their net that they're casting here. And this is where the NGOs come into play. Well, hold on one sec. Let me see. Go. One sec. So, Penny, if you're here, can you remind me to circle back to the presidential daily brief? Because the other portion that I have to come back and comment on is that the NSA was specifically withholding data from President Trump in the presidential daily brief, which is honestly like fucking wild. Let me see. Here's the summary. Oh, there's Mideast. He is back. Welcome back, Mideast.
Hi.
Hi. Oh, okay.
It kicked me and stuff.
Why? Why did it kick you? How do I pull this up
How'd you?
on? I need to. One sec. How do I pull it up on the other screen? Open. I can't move. Can I move it over? Try this. Okay. Yep, there we go. Perfect. Everyone can see this? Good. All right, perfect. Oh, wow, guys. Hang on one second. Lindsay just sent us $5 on Super Chat. Thank you so much. Rocky as well sent us $5 on Super Chat, guys. W in the chat for all the support today. Thank you so much. And thank you for supporting the channel. And I think in the future, we might resurrect the Red Rover Republic. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right, this is where it gets interesting. And this is where I get to say what I truly feel happened with the presidential election in 2020. I don't think that it was simply a coincidence that a certain medical epidemic just popped out of nowhere, right? Especially from the location that it came from. And then somehow causes massive amounts of division. And then China plays into that, according to declassified documents. So ahead of the 2020 presidential election, China has extensive plans to utilize potential redacted and cyber operations to sway public opinion against President Donald Trump and international opinion against the U.S. government. The China plans were designed to exploit U.S. societal fissures and vulnerabilities to influence the U.S. and other audience, and by extension, U.S. government decision-making, which is exactly what happened. Verbatim, that's exactly what happened. Okay. Everybody started stirring up the Donald Trump isn't handling C-19 well, or Donald Trump isn't handling this whole situation. He should have followed the Obama plan, right? They ran on that for the entire election cycle. If you elect Joe Biden, he's going to handle COVID much better, even though the deaths were much higher under Joe Biden than it was under Donald Trump, by the way, just so everybody understands that. So, by extension, U.S. government decision-making, the plans address several scenarios, including military conflict between the U.S. and China, as well as other potential crises. The redacted operations themed covered a broad range of topics to exploit what China believed to be U.S. fissures and vulnerabilities, perceived or real, including economic recession, encouraging violent demonstrations and looting to increase the appearance of social unrest. Where did we see that? The Summer of Love. Everybody remembers the Summer of Love? Was that a bunch of violent demonstrations and looting and rioting? Check mark, yes. What's up, Mideast? Did you want to say something? Oh,
It's the Pepperidge Farm members.
Pepperidge Farms remembers. Thank you, Travis, so much. He sent us $10. Longtime supporter. I appreciate your fight and knowledge and beauty. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. You guys are so loving.
Can Can you
guys,
hear me?
I've never felt so validated in my life about what I've been constantly saying and
Unmuted.
what Mideast is saying about ideological subversion. What's up, Mideast? You're breaking up just a little bit. While we're waiting for Mideast,
I don't
Delilah
think you
sent.
can hear your audio.
You can't hear my audio? The chat can. Here's what might be better, Mideast. Let's try this. Why don't you guys get in Discord and get in a Discord chat and see if I can hear you better? Because honestly, I think it's a StreamYard issue, if I'm being honest. Thank you, Bree. Thank you so much. She sent us $2 as well. I think it's on your side of the aisle that you can't hear me. The chat can hear me though. Is it better?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So that's right. You couldn't hear me. So what I think might be good to try really quick, and maybe we can try this afterwards. If you want to join Discord chat and see if that's more effective, to where like the audience can still hear you, I can still hear you, because the only thing that's different between that is you having the icon on the screen. That's the only difference. All right, let me get back into this.
Yeah, I'm good either way.
Because Mideast, this is like the perfect example of ideological subversion, and it's openly acknowledged by the government that they understand that this is going on. So encouraging violent demonstrations, looting to increase the appearance of social unrest, checkmark. Intensifying Americans' disapproval of President Trump, of the President of the United States, calling into question his ability to govern, which is exactly what happened during C-19. That was the messaging from the left. Donald Trump can't handle C-19. Donald Trump can't handle the pandemic. He's saying, inject bleach, which is complete propaganda campaign that the left did on CNN, because that's not what he said. And I've had to debunk that talking point so many times. So checkbox, yes. Overall undermining the legitimacy and public support of the President of the United States. 100% that happened with the Robert Mueller report. That's what the Russia collusion and Russia conspiracy was all designed to do. 3 years the left spent on this investigation into Russian interference to undermine the legitimacy of Donald Trump's election. Check mark, yes, that happened. Ineffective U.S. government COVID-19 response. Increasing public dissatisfaction with the President of the United States by questioning his fitness to govern and undermining public support for his actions. Check mark, yes. Okay? All of that happened. This is only one document, by the way. We haven't even gotten to the 3 other documents of what China is using to weaponize and sow division in the country. And it goes back to that very old saying, by the way, united we stand, divided we fall. And our enemies understand that. Our enemies understand that if we spend so much time fighting with each other, then we're not paying attention to what the true enemy is overseas. This is why you can't have a anti-intervention, isolation standpoint in foreign policy. Period. You just can't do it. Because our enemies are way aware of this. Go ahead.
Would you say that this is China and Russia working in tandem? Because that's what it appears like to me. Like they're piggybacking off of the Russian collusion that was going on, and then the China taking advantage of that. And then I think if you parlay that into what we're seeing with the Epstein files, and specifically, the propaganda videos that we've seen from the IRGC.
Correct.
It's like they're each picking a certain subject or a couple subjects that they are targeting on, but they're all kind of benefiting one another and feeding off of one another to sow the division.
Absolutely. And I want to say that the United States is not the only country that I think China is doing this with, by the way. I think China is heavily doing the same operations over in the UK and other European countries. I think that they're implementing this as well. And probably Canada too, if I had to guess. So going back to what I talked about yesterday, if you were in Penny Lane's live, we talked a lot about TikTok's involvement in China's ideological subversion operation. China has developed capabilities to project themes on these topics into social media, such as TikTok, which they have heavy influence in, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and others, as well as mainstream media through a variety of overt and hidden influencers and media contributors. One of the options included gathering information on senior U.S. government officials to influence public opinion of those officials. So, what we've all known for a long time, TikTok and China, the CCP is going to use the algorithm of TikTok to put things in your face. For instance, right, if you're someone who already has a distrust of the government, China can then use algorithms to push you conspiracies about the government to sow more distrust. And so every time you scroll through your feed, you'll see conspiracy theories, doomer situations where people are trying to black pill you. That is what that is designed to do. So it'll continue to feed you that type of stuff. If you're somebody who is anti-Trump, they're going to continue to feed your algorithm with anti-Trump FYP. That's what it'll continue to do constantly. Thank you, James, as well. He sent us $5 super sticker. Thank you so much for the support. And Bree as well sent us $2. Thank you so much for the support, everybody. And thank you for coming over to YouTube, by the way. This makes it so much easier to really put my thoughts on blast. So let's get to the next clip here. So we have this COVID-19 document. So let's grab the next document. This is where it gets into the racial tensions. So China already understands that the United States has a lot of racial history, a lot of discord between many of our cultural communities. And so they played into that ahead of the 2020 election. And we saw this play out in a massive way during the George Floyd riots. Ahead of the 2020 presidential election, China had extensive plans to utilize potential redacted and cyber operations to sway public opinion against Trump's administration and international opinion against the U.S. government. China plans were designed to exploit U.S. social fissures and vulnerabilities to influence the U.S. and other audiences by extension, U.S. government decision making. The plans address several scenarios, including military conflict between the U.S. and China, as well as other potential crises. This will be the summary of the next document that I show you too. So on the next document, I'm just going to get to this part. Okay. This is how they exploited these types of topics. So they went into racial tensions. So alleging that white people hate black people. Do you think that we've seen that in our country, chat? Do you think that that's been something that is a constant issue ongoing, that China is exploiting that through your algorithms on Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube? Check mark, yes. Yes. Inciting demonstration and marches as evidence of racial divides. That's interesting. Have we seen that recently, chat? Have we seen that? Check mark, yes, we have seen that. And we're increasingly seeing that even from the DSA, even from the PSL, the Party for Socialism and Liberation. People keep asking me about the main organizations that I think are causing some of the most chaos. It's going to be Code Pink. It's going to be the DSA, Democrat Socialists of America, and the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Those are going to be the three organizations that are the bad actors that cause chaos throughout the country and organize a lot of these protests. And by the way, these organizations will take money from the head sister companies, the parent organizations, and then they'll trickle down the money to other organizations underneath that. And there's more evidence of this when we get into the voter fraud in Michigan, because that was wild. Increasing the level of conflict between police and anti-racism activists. Check mark, yes, we've already accomplished that. Feeding any sense that the U.S. law enforcement resents the U.S. government and people of color. Check mark, yes. USG tensions with the U.S. military. Check mark, yes. Political party disagreements. Check mark, yes. Congress Trump administration conflicts, women's rights, U.S. South China Sea policies, alleged U.S. war aspirations, and international propaganda. Check mark yes to all of this, right? We are still today arguing on women's rights in regards to Title IX and whether or not women should have to compete with men in women's sports, whether or not men should have unlimited access to the women's restrooms, locker rooms where women are undressing, simply because a man can say, I identify as a woman. Sapphire, thank you so much. She said, keep up the great work, Millie, and fighting to keep us informed. Thank you so much for the $20 super chat. Appreciate you. And again, all of this is being used through social media. So I want you to be critical that when you're looking at stuff on social media, when you see videos pop up on your feed, pay attention to that. Pay attention, and actually, it would be good for you to document what your feed is pushing to you. And then look back on it and reflect. Hey, Unrealness, Stay Moist chat. What's up, man? I can't wait to relaunch all of the Red River Republic. It's going to be fun. All right, so we covered that document, so let's get on to the next one. The next one is going to be still using social media campaigns to influence the way Americans feel about our country and our government. Can I pop that in there? Can I pop that into there? No, I can't. All right, let's do this. Okay. Now, this time they're going to be using different scenarios and different immigration and gun rights fixtures to try to play into that to get Americans to continue to fight each other. Reminding you, the whole purpose of this is to sow division within the United States, to sow division between Democrats and Republicans on the voter base level, by the way. Thank you so much, Stinky. You sent us $5 just cause, showing support. Much love to you guys. Can I get a W in the chat for everyone supporting the channel today? Our first real jump back on YouTube. Love it already. Thank you so much. The redacted operation themes covered by a broad range of topics to exploit what China perceived to be U.S. fissures and vulnerabilities, perceived or real, including gun proliferation and immigration policies, inciting immigrant community dissatisfaction with the U.S. government, inciting demonstrations against the U.S. government, alleged human rights violations against immigrants. Guys, have we seen that? Have we seen that? Yes, we have. This is currently what's going on right now. And the interesting part is that Congress is investigating China's interference with Neville Roy Singham, sending money over to people so they could protest ICE. Okay? This plays a huge role in this. So the CCP doing psychological warfare online, but Neville Roy Singham is sending actual liquid money over to the United States so that protesters can protest against the U.S. government. It's another peacock move that is showing, oh, we have a lot of division in the country. This is going to undermine Donald Trump's administration. And the goal here is to say, well, Donald Trump can't control the government. Donald Trump, because of his way he's handling ICE, ICE is out there killing people on the street, but they'll never bring up the amount of people who were killed under prior administrations by ICE, right? Because accidents happen. We have police officers on the street that end up getting into altercations with people that they're arresting or detaining. It ends up in somebody getting pew-pewed, whether it's the police officer or whether it's the person that they are detaining. It is never the notion that we shut down the police department because we have altercations going on between police officers and a detainee. But the protesters are trying to make it seem like the only solution here is we need to abolish ICE. That's by design, because ICE is one of the things that stands between the CCP bringing over agents into the United States. I want you to think about that, okay? ICE is what stands between Chinese immigrants coming over here and continuing their propaganda campaign. Tara sent us $10 on Super Chat. She said, Millie, you are inspirational and a beautiful spirit. Sincerely, Red X in Michigan. Let's go. Thank you so much. And we're about to touch base on Michigan soon, so we're about to love this. And then Don Quevius Trump sent $10. Keep up the great work. Fuck TikTok. Censorship. Absolutely based. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to this. Inflaming resentment between anti-immigrant... let me pop that off, anti-immigrant and pro-immigrant communities and instigating anti-immigration demonstrations. So showing you that China is playing both sides of the aisle. Okay. So they're going to funnel campaigns for protests for immigration policies, and then they're going to fund on the other side of the aisle anti-immigrant demonstrations so that they can continue the appearance of constant division online. Because I think that when most times we sit down with Democrats as Republicans or conservatives or libertarians and we say, hey, we could probably come to an agreement on a middle ground issue with how to deal with immigration, right? Like, we want people to be able to come over here legally, but we don't want to bog down the system so much where it starts hurting Americans. So again, they lay out at the bottom of this that the way that China is doing this is specifically through social media campaigns. But I also pointed out to you as an example where liquid cash is coming over from China, from Nevaroy Singham, into organizations that are actually doing these demonstrations and these protests. This is something we speak about on TikTok all the time. All right, let's get back to the presidential daily brief. This is also very important. Pull that up. Okay. Now, I find it crazy that the NSA feels like they should just leave out certain things about elections in regards to the president. So the subject is note to election threat, 45-day ICA China section drafting team. All greeting, hope all is well. I just want to send you a note with a few thoughts on the upcoming project. First, thanks in advance for your work on this product. Second, when you begin communicating with co-drafters across the community, please CC those on CC Line and we can maintain visibility on progress, provide assistance when needed, and help elevate any potential problems. I also wanted to let you know that we optimally would like to keep redacted. Let us know if you have any questions. Thanks. Regards. Okay. And this is coming from a national intelligence officer that works in cyber and election threats and security. The reply is almost the same as the one before. They're continuing to talk about the product. Okay. This is where it gets interesting, is this portion right here. We have deliberately massaged, okay, one of our pending presidential daily briefs to avoid any direct links to the election. Oof. First of all, I want to know what the language massaged means. What are we massaging here? Middies, what do you think about that? Are you still with us?
Yeah,
Chad,
I'm still here. Sorry, I was chewing an M&M.
What do you think the massage is? Is like, we're just gonna, you know, I think it just means they're going to write this in a way of where they don't have to actually address what's going on. And then keeping certain information out to keep the presidential daily brief fluffy.
Well, yeah, that's what the massage is referencing. It's they massage the language in a specific way that comes across with an intent, right? So if I were going to massage an email or the language of an email to a client, I would massage it in a way that's going to keep that relationship strong, even though I'm relaying, bad news. Going to try and spin it to sound good.
Mm-hmm. So I want to know why the NSA didn't want to bring this to the attention of Donald Trump. This is yet again another problem with Donald Trump's first administration, is that people were deliberately withholding information from him in advance. The massive report we have been waiting on has been chopped up into 13 reports that likely will not get out until late next week. All /all of them will be cross-posted into redacted or downgraded redacted, so can be more readily incorporated into a 45-day piece if needed. He said, okay, thanks. Regarding cross-pointing into various redacted or downgrading to redacted for 45-day piece, if you make sure that there are redacted versions, we're good. And then the response again is, I haven't heard from China's drafting group yet either. My impression is that they've been waiting for the new redacted presidential daily brief to update the story before feeding that into the ICA. I don't want to preempt what the reports or the presidential daily brief will say, but with the ICA in mind, I really think we need to comment on how the new information relates to the election story or not customers will want to expect from us. NIO cyber, I will think in new information is highly relevant. Though I realize that we are in the minority here, I understand you're trying to navigate various perspectives on this. So just FYI, happy to discuss later. And then they say, small update from NSA below. Their presidential daily brief isn't going to tie into the election? ? The mind boggles. The next email says, I think I mentioned to you before that there is some pending redacted that makes it clear China has been caught conducting election influence. At least that's how it was described to us, redacted. But as you scroll up, note the NSA deliberately massaged one of our pending presidential daily briefs in order to avoid any direct links to the election. While this is important for your report, I'm sure it also has potential to be near-term issue we will need to draw attention to. This is a really good example, but far from the only one, of what I've been raising since the summer, that the IC is deliberately avoiding mentioning a connection to elections for non-substantive reasons. Obviously, since redacted isn't released yet, they're holding it until next week. This isn't a presidential daily brief, so maybe it won't end up being an issue, but this is highly irregular way to do things, especially as someone trying to raise tradecraft and substantive objections to mainline analysis isn't getting our work incorporated or even mentioned. And then the final response is, you have brought this to my and Redacted's attention, and we see an opportunity to prevent an analytic objectivity mistake from happening. Who would be the decision maker here to reconnect the thread on election security, what is about to go out? So the highlight of this email is making sure that we don't notify the president of China trying to influence the election in 2020. That's very clear. They want to make sure that they're not going to notify the president about this and that it's not going to be included in the presidential daily brief. That's insane. Why is our chief executive officer being left out of information that our intelligence agencies are holding on to? This is why we need to clean house in these agencies, because that would be running a shadow government. When you have the intelligence agencies are running all of the government behind the scenes and leaving the president who we elected to run the country. That's crazy. Okay. So confirming all of that. Let's go to the FBI in Albany. See if I can get this out. Want to make sure we can all see this. Okay. All right, this is when it starts to get increasingly wild, and I have to point out that the FBI got this wrong. So let's read this first, and I'll tell you where I think the FBI messed up. Chinese government production and export of fraudulent U.S. driver's license to Chinese sympathizers in the United States in order to create tens of thousands of fraudulent mail-in ballots for candidate Joe Biden. Oof. Are we shocked, chat? Are we shocked? It's almost like we've been saying that, right? Hi, Millie. It's Entree News. I bet it feels good to speak freely. Thank you for keeping us informed. I learn something from you every day. Thank you so much, Entree. And she sent us $10 on Super Chat. Thank you so much, W, in the chat for that. So there it is. The Chinese government is exporting fraudulent driver's licenses into Chinese sympathizers in the United States. Okay, this is why I'm firmly against bringing over Chinese students to study at our universities. I hate to say Donald Trump is very wrong about keeping those students over here. I don't think they should come over here at all. So, in order to create tens of thousands of fraudulent mail in votes for US presidential candidate Joe Biden in late August 2020. A collaborative source and indirect access, none of the whose reporting has been corroborated for less than 1 year. The source obtained the information from identified subsource who claim they obtained the information from unidentified PRC government officials. This is an informant report or information report, not finally evaluated intelligence. It is being shared for information purposes, but has not been fully evaluated, integrated with other information, interpreted or analyzed. Receiving agencies are requested not to take action based on this raw reporting without prior coordination with the FBI. Unless the conviction in a criminal proceeding occurs, a presumption of innocence exists for any person being reported on this IIR. Text. In late August 2020, the Chinese government had produced large amounts of fraudulent U.S. driver's licenses that were secretly exported to the United States. The fraudulent driver's license would allow tens of thousands of Chinese students, students, and immigrant sympathetic to Chinese Communist Party to vote for U.S. presidential candidate Joe Biden, despite not being eligible to vote in the United States. China collected, this is where it gets good. China collected private US user data from millions of TikTok accounts to include name, ID, and address, which allow Chinese government to use real US persons' information to create the fraudulent driver's license. The fraudulent driver's license were to include true ID number, true address of US citizens, and making them difficult to detect. China planned to use the fraudulent driver's license to account for tens of thousands of mail-in votes. FBI's comments. A person's address, and this is where they get this really, really wrong. This is why I'm actually astounded that the FBI did not do enough research into TikTok to know what is required for you to send and who would be required to send it. FBI comments, a person's address information was not a valid field when creating a TikTok account. It was unspecified how China would attain U.S. address data from applications. Sources available for recontact. Let me explain TikTok to you. So, a regular user on TikTok may not have to enter in these details. However, if you are a content creator like me on Realness Mideast, and you want to get paid out for the gifts that you get, or you have to file your taxes for the gifts that you get, you have to submit your ID to TikTok. And we did. Okay, everybody who gets payouts from TikTok has done this. Also, what the FBI is not considering or is ignorant of is that if you get an age restriction from TikTok, okay? Hold on one second. Sorry, I hope you guys can't hear the TV from the other room. My husband's listening to it. It's a little bit loud. I can hear it through my headphones, so hopefully it's not too loud coming through the microphone. So if you get an age restriction on TikTok, you have to submit an ID to prove that you are over the age of 13. I have received this violation, and so did Opinionated Girl and other people on TikTok have gotten the age restriction violation, which means that they have your whole ID. They have your whole driver's license. Okay, so the FBI is extremely wrong about this. Extremely wrong. I've submitted my ID, and I know many other TikTok creators, even video content creators, had to submit their ID to identify who they are. So when the FBI says, well, this isn't really a thing because like there's no way for China to get access to people's addresses, your address is on your driver's license. Many people use their driver's license to register to vote when they go to the DMV, and you get your driver's license. They say, do you want to register to vote? That will be the ID that you registered with is your driver's license 90% of the time. So they're wrong about this. And I can't believe that they even like considered that this wasn't a way that China could get access to your personal address. They 100% can, and they 100% did. Okay. So it says, please direct request for information to redacted on redacted or redacted. Advise if the request is time sensitive, include date or time frame required for a response. The rest of this really isn't saying anything much than just telling, people to respond and how to report this and how to reply. So that finishes up that. So notifying that, one, Chinese students are a problem and Chinese immigrants are a problem. So I think Donald Trump, after releasing this information, should understand that we should probably start massively limiting the amount of Chinese students that come into the country and Chinese immigrants that come into the country. Bree, thank you so much. You sent us $5. Thank you, Millie, for everything you do. It's Hip Girl, my real name, Brienne, but I go by Hip Girl and Bree. Love that, Hip Girl. And I know the other day you were worried because you sent that gift and it scared the shit out of everybody. Don't worry about it. We still love you. And I think TikTok actually fixed that today because it got a lot quieter. Holy shit. Thank you, Keith. He sent $20. Stay true to yourself and maintain confidence stance. Thank you, Keith. And I absolutely will. The whole objective of this is to give you my personal opinion and my personal thoughts and my personal dissection of the information, because this is my issue with JD Vance. Is depending on who I'm sitting in front of, I am not going to change my moral stance and the information that I am giving out to people based on whatever their biased affiliation is. I will tell you my honest thoughts all the time. Even if you are a Trump supporter, which I am a Trump supporter too, but there are some times where Donald Trump gets it wrong, or there's a policy that he does that I disagree with. And pointing out one of the policies that I disagree with was keeping Chinese immigrants and students coming into the country at massive volumes. I think that's a huge mistake. So, right to call out people when it's just to do so. No JD, we need Rubio 2028. 100%. I do not trust JD. I do not trust anybody who chameleons to whoever they are in front of. That person I cannot trust at all. Okay, let me see. All right, so now we're going to go into the blackmail situation. Let me move this over to the other screen. Guys, chat, how are we loving the new platform? Are we liking YouTube a lot better? How are we feeling about this? Because honestly, I might get comfortable doing it. So this part was very interesting. Unrealness sent us $10. He said, I just want everyone to know that I put mustard on my pizza. You're fucking disgusting. Get out of here. Get out of here. Okay. So Beijing escalating efforts to shape U.S. policies on China. This is actually from the president's daily brief. Okay? So this is presidential daily brief right here. And included in the presidential daily brief, which this was put out June 25th of 2020, redacted warned White House official that Beijing has degradatory information on him in an effort to compel him to take a restrained approach to China. Redacted. China's attempt to use blackmail against U.S. administration official. Redacted. Reveal the information through social media. We assess that this threat is credible. Lower-level Chinese officials have recommended collecting and using black materials against perceived anti-China U.S. officials since at least January of 2019. This is the most detailed and authoritative recommendation that we have seen. Oof. Oof. You know, it's really funny when a lot of people said that Israel was doing this. Remember, everyone was saying Israel is blackmailing our government and U.S. officials to kowtow towards Israel's foreign policy. And then we actually find out in real time that it's actually China doing this. I really hope that I hear from the Groypers the honest interpretation that the Chinese government is a huge fucking problem. Actually, the greater threat to the United States would be the Chinese, seeing as we are completely dependent on them for majority of our exports to the United States and manufacturing. Thank you, Alaskan. She sent us $20. She says, thank you for everything you do, Pookies. I love the Pookies. No matter how many times they try to bring you down, you always get back up. Sincerely, your favorite Eskimo. P.S. You may have a fresh supply of socks, long and short, in your drawer, Mideast. Did you hear that, Mideast? Are you still with us? He always has that sock drawer. We should just nickname you Gnome since you love socks so much. All right. So, blackmailing of government officials in order to get them to go with the Chinese agenda. So, I'm just curious who we think that the senior U.S. officials would be that they're blackmailing. Does anybody have any thoughts on who they think that is? All right, let me get into this summary. Oh, I already covered that. So that's not, we got off track here. Hang on. Nope, we covered all that. Okay, so I think that wraps up all of the information that we have on China's influence into our elections. So that covers the portion of China's influence on our elections. All right, let's go into the alien voter registration. All right. So, national security investigations. The Department of Homeland Security has initiated multiple investigations related to allegations of non-citizen voting and registration. Review a first set of public voter files from states that have not utilized the SAVE system revealed. Over 250,000 non-citizens are illegally registered to vote in just 4 states for which the public data files have been reviewed. This is alarming. Okay, because in some states, Donald Trump lost the 2020 election by merely 10,000 votes. That's the amount of which he lost in some states. State election officials in California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Nevada have been notified this serious threat to national security, and DHS stands ready to support their efforts to identify and remove ineligible registrants. The investigation is expanding to include multiple additional states. In addition, DHS will support the Department of Justice review of voter files obtained pursuant to their enforcement authority under National Voter Registration Act of 1993 and Help America Vote Act of 2002. So this has been a constant problem, is that we have been trying to subpoena the voter rolls from California, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Nevada. And these people do not want to hand over their voter rolls. To me, it seems like if you have to guard your voter rolls in such a manner, what are you hiding? What are we actually hiding if you can't just hand over the rolls to make sure that illegals are not voting in our elections? Which, by the way, the Secretary of State in California, the Secretary of State in Oregon have already admitted that illegals were able to register to vote at the DMV. They had to actually come out and apologize and say, hey, we didn't know that the DMV was flawed in a way that illegals could register to vote by simply going and getting a driver's license, which illegals shouldn't even have access to driver's license to begin with. If you're an illegal alien, you're not a U.S. citizen, no matter the state that you're in, no state should be handing out a driver's license to an illegal, period. They have no business being on a road if they haven't even notified us that they're here. Thank you so much, Madsen M. She sent us $4. I appreciate everything you do to bring us the news. Love this platform. Hope it stays. I'm not a big TikTok fan. Maybe we will. Maybe we'll do YouTube one day a week, or, if it gets better, maybe we'll just stay over here permanently. Vegas Mom, she sent us $10. She said, thank you, Millie, for all you do. I like YouTube much better. So if I can watch if I miss your live, let's make a YouTube a constant. Love you, girl. Thanks again. Keep fighting. I absolutely will, Vegas. I'm going to continue the good fight, keep everybody informed on the news. And that's what I'm here to do. So in short time, the enhanced SAVE system has been available to states. 10 states have processed their full voter lists. As of June 22 of 2026, a total of 25 different states processed more than 68 million registration records through the SAVE system. DHS has enabled those states to identify over 400,000 deceased registrants. This is why you have to purge the voter rolls, guys. This is why purging the rolls is so important, okay? Because people die every year. People unalive. I got to stop using TikTok language on YouTube. People die, and then they don't go and take them off the voter roll. And then 28,000 non-citizens who are legally registered to vote. And these are only in the states that we were able to get partial voter registrations, not even the full. Partial voter registrations, we were able to detect this. Thank you so much. Here's Dalala here. She said, a New Jersey resident, it's bad. Anyone can drive here and they automatically get registered to vote. We hate it here. I absolutely agree, Dalala. I think this is a constant problem, and the U.S. Federal government needs to start ensuring that certain states, or all states, not even certain states, all states should not be handing out driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. And they should have to notify people when you apply for a driver's license, whether or not you're in the country illegal. You should be verifying that you are actually a U.S. citizen, or you have a visa or legal rights to be in the country. I don't think that's a horrible concept. If you can't notify the federal government you're here, why are you running around letting the state government know you're here? Let me see. Unrealness said, if YouTube adds a guest option, TikTok is absolutely cooked. It is. Honestly, quick sidetrack. If YouTube were to add the GIF animations that TikTok does, if YouTube were to add the guest option where you could just pull people up to interview guests the same way that TikTok does, TikTok is over. TikTok is done. I would immediately move over to YouTube full time and call it a day. And I might still do that because I am actively tired of not being able to cover half of the news and half of the election coverage because TikTok is ridiculous. So, okay, so where were we at? Several other proactive state officials have also signed a memoranda of agreement with the USCIS to utilize the SAVE system and have processed portions of their state voter rolls. Unfortunately, due to the actions of the activist Judge Sparkle Spukanana, many Sukanana, whatever that name is, many of the enhancements to this service of USCIS have been suspended pending legal appeal. Okay, so first of all, this appeal has already been won. So I can tell you this is old because whenever they released this memo, it was pending appeal. We already won this appeal. So they can no longer bar us from looking at the voter rolls of the states that register inside the SAVE system with the USCIS. So that's over with. They lost that completely. Thank you, Tammy, so much. She sent us $20 on Super Chat, guys. W for everyone supporting the live today and the broadcast today. Appreciate you. I wasn't even expecting this kind of support when we came over to YouTube, so I am super grateful and blessed. All right, so a lot of people may not understand what the SAVE system is, so let me just pull up from the DHS website about this program. And like the memo had laid out, there was active litigation to bar this program from accessing voter rolls. So DHS USCIS PIA 006 Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements Program. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, Verification Division and Administrators, the Systematic Alien Verification Entitlements Program, in short called SAVE program. The SAVE program is an online intergovernmental service designed to help federal, state, territorial, tribal, local government agencies, benefit granting agencies, other authorized entities, and license bureaus as authorized by law determine citizenship and immigration status of individuals within their jurisdiction for purposes of granting benefits, license, and as well as other lawful purposes. So, this system was actually designed to make sure that people who are getting entitlements from the U.S. government, if they're getting WIC, they're getting SNAP, they're getting EBT, they're getting other entitlements, Section 8, HUD housing, all of that, okay? This program is designed to make sure that the people who are accessing those systems are actual legal U.S. citizens, or they actually have a visa or lawful legal status in the United States. Okay, so you would not be able to access our programs if you do not have authorization to be in the United States. That's what this program is designed to verify. So The left, of course, hates this program because they want to be able to have everybody come into the country and get as much access to social services as possible. If you use your Discord, people can request up through Discord Millie. Oh, that would be good. I might try that out for sure. But it's no mistake that the left hates a program that would verify whether or not people accessing social programs are actually legal in this country. That is something very important. Okay, so let me go into the FBI Michigan report. That is going to be the next topic of discussion. Let's show here. Oh, Mideast is back. What's up? And I might take a break from reading here and show you some video from James O'Keefe just to take a brief break from the reading, because I understand it's a lot to go over. What's up, Mideast? Are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had to pick up my wife's car.
That's no problem. Yeah, did she get a new car? Did she like it?
Oh, she loves it. We've had that for a little bit. It's her old car that was supposed to be sold that was in the car accident that we're getting back
Are you able to
finally,
sell
so
that?
we can finally go through with the sale.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, the guy's buying it for his construction company, so he doesn't really care. He just needs something with 4 wheels and a working motor.
Absolutely. So let me
Yeah.
address this. I'm not really sure how YouTube works. Stacy says only 172 likes, thumbs up on the live. Please close chat and go up and hit the thumbs up. This helps Millie. Okay, thank you. So if you guys can go over and hit that like button. I'm still happy that we got half of the viewers from TikTok to even come over to YouTube to watch this. So thank you so much for joining us. All right, so let's get into the release. And this is coming out of Michigan, and I think it's Muskegon. Hopefully I said that right. Muskegon Police Department. The FBI Detroit field office, FBI Detroit, was informed that Michigan State Police and Michigan Attorney General and Muskegon Police Department were investigating
I believe it's
allegations.
Muskegon.
Muskegon. Thank you so much. Thank you. I keep wanting it feels like Oregon at the end, and I keep wanting to pronounce it in that way. Muskegon. Thank you, chat. You're the best. And thank you, Mideast, for helping me out there. We're investigating allegations of voter fraud registrations being submitted to Muskegon City Clerk Office. COO determined that the bulk of applications were sent by Redacted from Redacted. MCPD estimated Redacted delivered between 8,000 to 10,000 registrations. Informed the MCPD investigations she worked for Redacted and under its owner and Redacted, and that she was paid for voter registration work, meaning that they were sending out people and then paying them to get people registered to vote. The matter was registered to law enforcement by the MCCO, and the subsequent investigation by the MSP found a number of prepaid debit cards located at Redacted office based in Redacted, raising concerns that Redacted as paying people to register. Since on or about August 5th of 2020, MCCO has received 6 packages marked redacted via U.S. mail containing voter registration applications. MCCO determined some of the applications were fraudulent based on a number of factors. MCCO determined that the bulk applications were sent by Redacted, as Redacted also hand-delivered numerous applications with indicators of potential fraud. MCPD estimated Redacted and Redacted had delivered between 8,000 to 10,000 registrations. MCPD conducted a non-custodial interview of Redacted on October 8th, 2020, where she informed MCPD investigators that she worked for Redacted. Under its owner, Redacted and Redacted, also that she was paid for voter registration work. MSP Investigations subsequently conducted an interview of Redacted on October 20th of 2020, where she stated she was the first level supervisor overseeing canvassers, with canvassing being conducted in Muskegon, Detroit. I think I'm a butcher that city. Ypsilanti? Southfield, Flint, and Lansing told MSP investigators that canvassers were paid through a reloadable pay card and that canvassers were paid for each completed form, but later changed her statement and indicated that they were paid hourly. Oops. Oopsies. Why would you change your statement? Why would it go from like you got paid for each completed form to wait, we were paid hourly? Ypsilanti. Okay. Ypsilanti. Okay, cool. Listen, thank you everybody from Michigan for helping me out with that. I'm not good with cities, especially even like when I lived in Norfolk. It was people pronounce it Norfolk and then people pronounce it Norfolk. And so I don't know, it's just funny. Redacted later told MSP investigators that she could not recall her boss's name despite earlier identifying Redacted as her employer. This person is lying through their entire fucking interview. It's kind of like they know what they're doing is illegal and they're like, hey, let me just clarify. I don't know who my employer is. Oh, wait, I already identified my employer. Oops. Then you're like, oh, well, yeah, we were getting paid for everyone that we got signed at. Wait, no, actually, we got paid hourly. Oops. Nah, fuck. Yeah, nah, fuck. All right, let me get back to where I was at. MSP discovered the vehicle Redacted was driving was a rental vehicle rented by Redacted. On October 22 of 2020, MSP investigators received authorization to track Redacted's movement via cell phone GPS ping. The information revealed from Redacted's cell phone subsequently showed Redacted had traveled to Redacted on October of 23rd of 2020. An open source search for information associated with that address identified it as an office location for Redacted. MSP subsequently received authorization to search Redacted office located at Redacted for, amongst other things, employee list, payroll information, and other information on the purchase and distribution of reloadable pay cards. MSP executed the search on October 29th, 2020. So this is right before the election, guys. Special agents Redacted and Redacted air dispatched to search scene due to concerns about weapons located at the scene, and Special Agent Redacted a quality of reloadable Redacted pay cards. Oof. There's information or an allegation the subject or other yet unknown were engaging in or are currently engaged in possible federal criminal activity. No shit. No shit. Oh, this gets better and better. The allegations involve potential payments for registrations for the 2020 national election and concerns matters which require the concurrence of the DOJ Public Integrity Section Election Crimes Unit and the FBI PCU as documented in Section X below. All right. On March 16th of 2021, U.S. State Attorney for the Western District of Michigan was fully informed of the facts of this case. USA Redacted advised his office would prosecute Redacted and Redacted for violation of Title 18 U.S. Code 1343, wire fraud, or any other federal criminal laws that could be proven. Investigating strategy may include and will not necessarily be limited to obtaining publicly available information, recovering records, information via subpoena, interviews, and consensual recordings. CDC review is not required because the above caption mentioned is not sensitive investigative material. Okay, so we covered that one. Whew. All right. I'm going to read one more of these, and then we're going to take a break, watch some of the James O'Keefe footage, and then I will come back to reading more of these documents. But I need a slight break from the constant reading out loud. It sometimes just gets a little bit draining after a minute. So let me grab another one that I think is very important here, and then we will get back to reading the rest of the information because there's still so much more to cover on this situation. I need to find the one guy that showed up to her house with a Biden t-shirt and tried to get her to register. So this one is the crazy one. Okay, here we go. All right. So from the FBI import form, an unknown subject wearing a Biden t-shirt came to Redacted home. The UN sub addressed Redacted by name offered to collect her absentee ballot. Oof. Oof. Oh, thank you for reminding me that I need to go over and check Cash App. I haven't touched it here in a second, but I will definitely get to it. So guys, thank you so much for reminding me to get over there. Okay, so one, this is completely sus because they are trying to collect her absentee ballot. All right. While coming over wearing a Biden t-shirt. Okay. Told the UN sub that she was not registered to vote. The UN sub had a tablet with him and offered to register her to vote. Redacted declined and told the UN sub she did not want to register. Redacted did not provide any of her personal information to UN sub. Recently received a voter registration ID card in mail. Redacted did not register to vote and did not request to be registered to vote. Redacted contacted her county and city clerk's office who won't tell her any information. Redacted also noted that a few weeks prior to Halloween, she received what she believed was an absentee ballot in the mail. Redacted shredded the ballot. Redacted said she is 100% certain she never registered to vote. Holy shit, guys. Oh. Guys, there's no election fraud. What do you mean? There's no election fraud. Mail-in ballots weren't going to be a problem, guys. What do you mean? Weren't we being told by the left that this never happens? There's almost zero voter fraud going on. Okay. Redacted says she is 100%
I have so
sure.
much to say about this when you're done.
Absolutely. Redacted said she is 100% certain that she never registered to vote and has never voted in an election. Open source query of mvic.sosstate.mi.us revealed Redacted as a registered voter attached. A Guardian query Redacted and Redacted revealed 0 results. Centennial query for Redacted and Redacted revealed 1 restricted result in the JK div 0NDE division. A DIVS query for Redacted with the date of birth Redacted revealed 0 results. So, crazy work, guys. How is she getting an absentee ballot if she's not registered? So go ahead, Midis. I know you had a lot to say about this, so go ahead and let me know what your thoughts are. Question, will anything happen? Oh, we'll get into that after we go over the James O'Keefe videos that I've been trying to cover for a long period of time. Essentially, this was reported to, and apparently they got approval from Anthony Blinken, which was Biden's. Yeah, I can now. Yeah, do you want to comment on that before I cover the rest of it? Hello. Middies, can you hear me? Someone said, I'm in Michigan. I received 3 ballots, took them and voted in person, reported that they filed a claim and never heard a thing. I can now. I can hear you. Yeah. No, I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? There we are. I think I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Next time we might try to do this on Discord. And maybe we can hear you better on Discord. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what I would say is like, it's the frustration of all of this, like taking the eyes off the ball, right? Like allowing people to exist to sow misdirection. We've been watching Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, watch what the chairman of the Heritage Foundation said about Tucker Carlson and kind of defending that position, to Nick Fuentes is being able to exist, and then watching people actively move against this administration, watching the use of the Epstein files, watching all the things that are happening in this country. And it's like, we are allowing voices to come into our movement, into the party, that keep your eye off of this kind of stuff. And I don't think that that's a mistake. And it's very clear when you have Neville Royce Singham. We talked about earlier on your live about his daughter and her involvement with the DSA, um, and Code Pink. All of these things being linked together in ways that I don't think we fully have a clear picture of, but it's becoming clearer every single day. And I just find it fascinating that if we just focused, if we got rid of the voices, and I hate cancel culture, I'm kind of against it. But when people just keep asking questions, we're asking questions, and it's the same questions for years and years with no receipts, no evidence, no validation to any of their claims, just the same BS over and over again. We have to start canceling these people. We have to start pushing them out of our movement entirely so that we don't get distracted away from things like this, that we're finally getting validation on, clear evidence, getting receipts for stuff that we should all be passionate about, using the Epstein files to divide us, all of these different things, and then to try and break us away from, obviously one of our best allies that's out there. And we should really be asking ourselves here at what point do we decide to fixate on the things that matter? If you look at immigration, if you look at the election fraud, if you look at C19 and the questions we've been asking forever about these subjects, all of this tied in to this specific thing, all of it coming from China, from Russia, from Iran. I mean, it's right there in front of you. These are the questions that we should be asking about. I don't care if people have a question about something that's relevant today. But I swear, if I hear another conservative or a leftist bring up the USS Liberty, I'm just exiting the conversation. I don't even want to partake in a conversation with you. I can't take you serious. When you have Thomas Massey bringing this shit up, when we're listening to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and these people are saying they're going to come forward with the names of people and put them out there if they don't do the right thing. And then you have these same people, one, Massey bringing up the USS Liberty and believing that AIPAC somehow influenced the outcome of his election. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene that's made comments about Jewish space lasers starting wildfires. When are we going to start asking questions about these ridiculous claims and what their intentions are and who is influencing them and why it's okay for them to say this? I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Millie, but I feel like our movement is being hijacked and the left has already succumbed to it. The useful idiots have come out in troves. That party's been completely taken advantage of. That's why we're seeing people leave the left in troves, because they're actually concerned about the DSA. People that have lived under these type of policies that are speaking out, and for whatever reason, they're being silenced. And to me, that is just, it's mind blowing. I just have to say, because it's like my little rant, but like, it is
No, I agree.
validating watching this happen. I can
Well,
tell you
so-
that much.
And this is what my concern is with JD Vance, right? Anytime that China hears from a U.S. official, especially the vice president, who many are projecting to be the next candidate for the Republican Party, which I pray that he does not end up being the candidate. I pray that he doesn't. Anytime they hear that the U.S. is going to take a isolationist stance to foreign policy, that is music to Russia and China's ears.
They're frothing at
means-
the mouth.
That means that Russia, China, Iran, all of these bad actors across the world is going to go, oh, America is not going to get involved. Okay, perfect. That means we get to do more and more and more shit. Undeterred. Okay. And that's going to cause a huge pileup of issues that eventually, when somebody gets into office and goes, oh, fuck, we ignored foreign policy for 4 years. Now I have to come in and clean up a foreign policy mess. That's why I do not think that JD Vance is the guy. You cannot ignore foreign policy. You cannot. And at the same time, if I hear people adopting a anti-meritocracy standpoint as a conservative, please leave stage right. Please leave.
Yeah.
Okay, because I don't think that any conservative or any moderate conservative is interested in hearing about any other system that is not based in meritocracy. People get very annoyed with nepotism. So I hope that people understand that. conservatives are not on board with DEI initiatives. So to hear JD Vance adopt those standpoints and lean into the like, and I'm not even like the biggest advocate for capitalism. I will admit that capitalism has some flaws that we can actually fix. There's a lot of fixable things in capitalism that we can do, which would mainly be to kick some of the government out of the regulations on corporations so that they can continue to compete efficiently. Stop bailing out corporations when they fail, right? Those are some of the flaws that can be fixed in capitalism. But to start leaning towards like a social ideology and saying, well, maybe the youth is frothing at the mouth for socialism because capitalism is so bad. Wait, what? Stop. What? Why am I hearing this from the vice president? This is completely opposite messaging from Donald Trump. And it's going to be really hard for JD Vance to capture the MAGA movement with that message, because I think the MAGA movement is not on board with that message at all. Period. So I really hope Rubio does not step away from his opportunity to run for president for the sake of JD Vance. That'll be the biggest mistake the Republican Party makes. And it should be very easy to defeat the left just with a basic platform of conservatism. The left is running on Trump derangement syndrome. So let me get into the O'Keefe Media coverage of the CIA. In their investigation, undercover footage revealed CIA withheld information from President Trump. And this is why the intelligence agencies have been a fourth branch of government that just has never been needed. So before I get into this video really quick, I'm going to make sure I get everyone shouted out here. So thank you, Christy. She sent us $10 on Super Chat. She said, without voices like Millie, a lot of shit, to be honest, would be buried under the rug. I appreciate you, Millie, and the time you put into your shows is to be applauded. We need you. Thank you, Christy. I'm going to continue to do everything I can to make sure everyone is informed and that you have the receipts that you need to rebut people on the left that is going to tell you that none of this is an issue. And guys, this is just propaganda, because that's essentially what Harry Sisson's response to it was. So quick shout out for the friends on Cash App. We have Unknown came through with the $20. He said, W Millie, let's go. Harley, he came through extorted, $5 on Cash App. Thank you so much, Harley. Scott as well came through with $5. W YouTube, let's go, Scott. Let's see. I want to make sure I read everyone's notes here. So Fernando, he said, hello, Millie. Love what you do. God bless. Thank you for the $10 on Cash App. Appreciate you. And then Randall came through with $25. Thank you so much, Randall. I'm not sure if there was a message in there. Nope, there is. Great job, Millie. Keep spreading the truth. And I absolutely will. I'm going to do everything I possibly can to make sure you have all the information that you need. I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to make sure I keep covering this. Thank you, Stinky. He said, Millie, you're amazing, but I have 2 socks. I think that's for Mideast. And thank you, Danny. He sent us $5. Thank you all for the support today on YouTube. I truly wasn't expecting this amount of support, so thank you. I'm proud of us all in the community that we've built. Let's get into it. How do these idiots still get honeypotted like this? This is shit that no audio, can't hear it. Oh, let me try this again. Share screen, share audio. There we go. Share. Put this back on stage. All right, let's see if you guys can hear this.
I was going to say I do cyber operations. I've been doing it for a long time.
So how long have you been working at the CIA?
Since 2008. I
Okay.
also worked at NSA too. And then I had a TS-SCI with a full-scope polygraph. That means that I'm fully...
Okay, so TS-SCI is one of the top security clearances that you can get in this country. How do you have this level of clearance, but is this fucking stupid to get honeypotted? These people are briefed on honeypotting. They're told to not fucking fall for honeypots. I really want to see what this woman looks like, to have this many men dumb enough to like tell people he's spilling the tea. He's definitely about to spill the tea. This motherfucker is gonna throw it all on the table.
You got it.
Amjad Fasisi shows her his CIA identification badge.
So where does it say it is?
Doesn't.
Right, that's the point.
That's the point.
What's CMC?
China Mission Center, darling. That's my mission center.
Gotcha.
Amjad talks about how the CIA kept information from Trump.
Like working.
We kept information from him.
Say one more time.
We kept information from him.
From Trump?
Yes. He's an idiot. And there are certain people that.
And there it is. We kept information from Donald Trump because we think he's an idiot. Meanwhile, you're actively getting fucking honeypotted in 4K. Maybe we should have kept information from you because you're that stupid to just throw out information to a random person that you're eating with at dinner. You fucking moron. Donald Trump's an idiot. Bro, look in the mirror. This guy's going to feel like such a douche when this drops and he has to watch all of this shit and lose his entire job and then have to get charged because this is a crime, what he's telling her.
Give him a high level overview, but never give it to you. Do you know why? It's called leak those details.
Amjad Fasisi states higher ups within the intel
Because he'll leak those details while he's actively leaking the details. Does he want to be the pot or the kettle? Yeah, exactly.
community, including CIA directors Mike Pompeo and Gina Haspel, and the upper levels of their staffs colluded to withhold information from sitting President Trump.
So the agencies kind of like all got together and said, we're not going to tell Trump.
The higher ups.
The higher ups.
We put it this way, the executive staff, we're talking about the director and his subordinates.
Like what titles are they? The
Director of the CIA.
director of the CIA would keep.
Yes.
Are you guys still watching him?
I would say yes.
Like, it sounds like you guys are still watching him and his team.
Of course we are. Nothing goes.
So he's claiming that Radcliffe is withholding information from Donald Trump because that's who the active CIA director is, John Radcliffe.
Why without somebody watching?
Amjad Fasisi also states as fact that Trump is under constant surveillance and even claims they are spying on his ex-wife.
And we also have people that monitor his ex-wife.
So you guys had human sources,
How do you think we get information?
like wiretapping? Is that what?
Steal it.
How did you guys figure out that Trump was colluding with the Russians? Did you guys use?
It's just human intelligence.
So the intel community was able to use FISA to spy on Trump and his team, and that's how we found out that he was colluding with the Russians. Was it the CIA or the NSA that spied on Trump?
So it should be all of them.
Both.
So you're
What if
I do
Anybody-
not realize what's happening at this point with the level of the sophisticated questions that this honeypot is asking. Like, will you go out with me? I want to sit and talk to you about that. Like, and then she goes into and FISA. So use FISA. So like, what organization
Oh my
specifically? It's like,
God.
bro, you got education and training on all of this.
On all
We
of
all
it.
know this. You should be smart enough to know this. But you know what's happening with this guy right now? That's not him talking. You can tell by the way he's drinking the wine, the way he's slouched back. He's like, I'm big dick in this right now. Like, I'm this strong man in front of this lowly little woman that wants to know things, and I'm gonna use my insider information and my job title at the CIA to get in her pants. It's his wiener that's doing the talking right now, and he's just sitting there like, yeah, I'm gonna drink this wine and just like, yeah, we steal it because that sounds strong. She's gonna really like that, you know. That's what's happening.
Well, so I'm curious if they actually have a FISA warrant to spy on Trump's ex-wife.
And who signed it?
That's what I want to know, because that's going to be my next question: is who pulled the FISA warrant for Trump's ex-wife? That's what we have to know now.
Tell me that picture of him holding the wine like that a second ago with it up, you know, around his lips and like into his nose like that doesn't remind you of South Park, you know, when the Prius owners,
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about.
All right.
Even though it can talk-
So the intel community was able to use FISA to spy on Trump and his team.
I think at this point he's starting to realize this conversation. I don't know how you don't notice that the questions being asked are such honeypot questions.
That's how we found out that he was colluding
They're
with the Russians.
sophisticated.
Was it the CIA or the NSA that spied on Trump?
Both.
So it could be all of them.
So you're saying that
All of them.
your agency, CIA.
A lot of the agencies. He's not going to get it reelected again. I've done the math. It's impossible. We have a choice here. Do we want our democracy or do we want some fucking madman who wants to be a dictator?
Does it say the CIA on your LinkedIn?
Fuck no. No, we can't do that. And then I worked at NSA for a year.
Okay.
And I was doing some really cool cyber stuff, which I cannot tell you about. Did the Office of Director of National Intelligence. So I helped them stand their insider threat program. They trusted me to set that up.
Yeah.
It's just I'm telling you.
I don't have anyone to tell.
Yeah. This conversation didn't happen.
Of course.
I strictly did not.
Just don't tell anyone. Just don't tell anyone about the national secrets that I'm leaking to you guys. Just don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
I'm James O'Keefe.
He thought he was gonna smash, yeah, and then he didn't smash. So he probably lost all of his clearance and his job, probably facing federal criminal charges for not hitting that, by the way.
Reporting on location outside the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia. Right behind me, the CIA, the police officers here.
We figured we'd come up and just say hello.
No problem. We're allowed to stand here.
100%.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything you guys are doing is
Yeah.
100% okay from where you're at right now.
Okay.
If we proceed
can't
forward
cross
with
the barrier.
crosswalk,
Yeah.
Yep.
that's where we may have to come up and have another discussion.
Yeah, we're gonna
Um,
stand right on the sidewalk.
100%. Absolutely.
I appreciate it. All right.
All right.
Very good.
Okay. Thanks,
Thank
folks.
you. Just a moment ago, officers coming out from Langley, Virginia to warn me not to set foot across that line right there. It's obviously dangerous for us to be here. It's dangerous for us to do this reporting. But thanks to a brave OMG undercover swiper, we present to you the O'Keefe Media Group blockbuster investigation inside the CIA. A few months ago, journalists Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger released a story making several claims, including the CIA illegally mobilizing foreign intelligence agencies to target Trump advisors before the 2016 election. Barack Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, identified 26 Trump associates for the intelligence community to target and bump, make contact with, or manipulate. And what bumping means is literally bumping into people, making contact with them, communicating with them, and spreading misinformation to divert their attention. The U.S. intelligence community also asked its foreign allies, United Kingdom, Australia, Italy, and the Israeli Mossad, to target these 26 members of Trump's team going all the way back to March of 2016, well before the 2016 presidential election. Multiple instances that the U.S. intelligence officials likely broke laws against spying and election interference. Former CIA Director Gina Haspel blocked the release of a binder that included evidence that may have identified her role in the Trump-Russia collusion hoax. This activity was illegal, both because U.S. law prohibits such intelligence gathering unless authorized by a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, that's FISA warrant, and because the weaponization of the intelligence community for political purposes constitutes election interference. The first of the intelligence community's surveillance targets appeared to be a former Defense Intelligence Agency, that's DIA head, and would-be Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Another target was staffer George Papadopoulos. In 2018, HPSCI,
By the way, these are the people that Robert Mueller bumped into and then brought up on charges for lying to the FBI. All of these people were working in Donald Trump's network and security network. And all of a sudden, through the 3-year Russia collusion investigation, they got brought up on charges.
House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence released a 243-page report clearing Trump of allegations that he and his team colluded with Russia to interfere with the 2016 election.
Correct.
However, sources close to the House Permanent Select Committee, led by Adam Schiff, covertly continued working out of a small room in Langley, and he had access to raw logs and communications from agencies like the CIA and the National Security Council. You're probably wondering, how did the CIA respond to this? Well, former CIA Director John Brennan under Barack Obama did not respond, nor did the Justice Department. The US FBI and UK's equivalent to the NSA, that's the GCHQ, however, responded that wiretapping the president-elect claims were nonsense, they were utterly ridiculous, and should be ignored. What's most interesting about that is Taibbi and Schellenberger didn't even ask about wiretapping. The FBI and GCHQ just included it in their response. Even more interesting is, how did the mainstream media report it? The mainstream narrative was that the UK government GCHQ, again, that's the United Kingdom's NSA equivalent, was the whistleblower in the investigation into the alleged ties between Trump and the Russian government, and other narratives that have all turned out to be false. As it turns out, not only was Taibbi and Schellenberger's reporting accurate, we can now provide proof on camera, thanks to one of our OMG undercover American swiper citizen investigative journalists.
Swiper, no
Using
swiping.
the dating app Bumble and hidden cameras, our OMG journalists set up a series of meetings and phone calls with Amjad Fasisi, a CIA contractor with top-level government security clearances.
Oh my
now, as it
God.
turns out, the corruption at the CIA,
I wouldn't have told people what application you guys are using to honeypot these people from. That was probably a bad idea for James to lay out. Just really quick, though, pointing out that Michael Flynn and George Papadopoulos, all of these people that were brought up on charges, I want to remind people that the Robert Mueller report itself makes the claim that the Trump campaign never conspired with the Russian government in what they said were election interference activities. And I've pointed this out multiple times, even when I'm debating silly people on TikTok like David E. So I just want to point this out really quick, since it's going to be on YouTube, and at any time you guys can come back and look at this when you need to debate people on the subject, because it's still a talking point, even going back to today. So let me see right here. We applied the term coordinated in the sense when stating the report that the investigation did not establish that the Trump campaign coordinated with the Russian government in its election interference activities. Okay. So just to make sure everybody understands, all of the spying that they did, all of the indictments and charges that they brought on these U.S. officials had nothing to do with the Russian government or conspiracy. They simply said, you lied to the FBI. Those were the charges, because nobody in the Trump campaign conspired with Russia. Robert Mueller was not able to substantiate that claim.
FBI and Department of Justice is probably even worse than you thought. And now you can see it with your own eyes. We're reporting that Amjad Fasisi, a senior intelligence officer with a top secret, sensitive, compartmentalized information clearance, has worked at the CIA for over a decade, and his knowledge and his position and access show he has a high-level awareness about the agency, its current culture, and how it has been corrupted by bureaucratic politics, and how it has over the years and continues to use its powers to weaponize the CIA to spy on President Trump. Let's meet Amjad Fasisi. Amjad Fasisi is a CIA contractor working with Deloitte. He has a high-level, top-secret government security clearance and works within the CIA and its China Mission Center on cyber operations. According to the CIA's website, the China Mission Center was formed to address the global challenge posed by the People's Republic of China that cuts across all of the CIA's mission areas.
And this is where this is going to tie into the documents that were just released. And this is why I'm taking the time to show you this video. It's about 27 minutes long. We're about 8 minutes in, but it's important because this is all going to tie together with the information I'm giving you.
Through his work over the years with the CIA, NSA, and various defense contractors, Amjad Fasisi is well connected to high-level government officials. What you're about to see in this video is truly incredible. Amjad Fasisi divulges on camera that the directors of the CIA, including Gina Haspel and Mike Pompeo, and other high-ranking members of the intelligence community, purposely colluded to withhold information from Donald Trump, then the sitting president of the United States. I greenlit the hidden camera date as we were initially under the impression that he was working for defense contractor Lockheed Martin. But during the first meeting, our American swiper noticed that Fasisi was in fact CIA, at which point our undercover investigation took on a whole new angle. Our brave American swiper citizen journalist cultivated a rapport with Fasisi, and from
Our
there,
brave
the
honeypot.
rest is history.
I work in the intelligence community.
Wait, what do you do?
I work in the CIA.
You work for the CIA? That's hard. What do you do for them?
I do cyber operations.
Don't tell anyone. I work for the CIA. What a clown.
Different thing is my work, that's it.
How long have you worked there?
Oh, God. So I work for Deloitte Consulting.
Okay.
So I'm a contractor to the CIA. Deloitte, but based out of the CIA. I
Okay.
also worked at NSA, too.
And how long have you been at Deloitte?
Deloitte 2+ years. Lockheed Martin for about 11.
Okay, so he did work with Lockheed then.
Okay.
Cyber.
So that's what I do. And I work in a mission center.
What?
I work in a mission center at the agency. I am a program manager. I help the mission center across all.
Why is he acting like a gay bestie?
Everything.
After telling our undercover American swiper citizen
Love it.
journalist his role with the CIA, Amjad Fasisi shows her his CIA identification badge.
All right, so here you go.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah, things you can't do for 500. Things you cannot do for 500. Here's my top secret clearance badge to get into the buildings that are super, super secret.
Oh, sorry. How long have you worked there?
So that was 2008. So that was the last picture update was 2013.
This is from 2013, which is more than a decade ago. Wait, hold on. Where does it say?
Does it?
Why is that?
Let me see. Cricket, she sent us $5 on Super Chat. Maybe you didn't get my Cash App. It was right when you switched to YouTube today. Love you. Don't give out my government name. Oh, okay, hang on. I guess I think a lot of people might be uncomfortable with me reading out like the names of which the stuff is coming out. So I'm just gonna say thank you. There was $25 given out on Cash App. It says thank you for your hard work. I'm just gonna read the messages and no longer read the names. If you want to include your screen name in the message, I will absolutely read it out. But I believe I did get that, and I read it out earlier. You said in your message, don't give my government name. This is Cricket, LOL. And she sent $20 on Cash App. So I do believe I covered it earlier. You just may have missed it when we went over it. So guys, thank you so much. Millie, we see the messages anyways. Thank you guys. So I wish I could message back on Cash App. It doesn't give me that function. But guys, I appreciate the support today. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to the honey potting in real time.
Why would it?
How
Woo-woo?
do people know? Oh, I guess that's the point, right? That's the point.
That's the point. Listen,
Is there like a?
the United States seal.
Is the CIA?
No, the United States seal.
Oh, but there's no. It's not like a CIA.
No, we cannot do that.
What's CMC?
China Mission Center, darling.
Oh.
I love how he's like talking to her like she's stupid because she's playing the role of like dumb blonde moron. But he's about to feel super embarrassed when this comes out.
Ooh, okay, I'm getting a little nervous now.
Okay. This is okay. Oh, so this is the agent. Your division.
Getting a little nervous now. No shit.
Gotcha.
But do you believe me now?
Yes, this is very legit. I like it.
Because we have to go through training where, like, you leave a very low carbon.
You know it's not the first time he
internet
done that.
or social
Yeah.
media footprint.
Uh-huh.
I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
I'm on Facebook. My real name. And the company I work for, that's it.
Does it say the CIA on your LinkedIn?
Fuck no, we can't do that. No.
They don't allow you guys to do that?
Oh, no.
Amjad Fasisi also describes how you obtain top secret clearance called
Please tell me they're getting fired for this shit. Oh, definitely. Definitely getting fired. And probably charges too. All of their clearance is going to get like completely stripped.
TSSCI. TSSCI is a subset of top secret clearance and is required for access to highly sensitive information known as sensitive compartmented information, SCI. SCI is classified information concerning intelligence sources, methods, and other sensitive matters.
And then I have a TSSCI with a full scope polygraph. I put TSSCI full scope, That means that I'm fully vetted.
So how long have you been working at the CIA?
2008.
Back when you were at Lockheed.
Correct. And then,
So under the
I was
Obama
at NSA
administration.
for a year.
Okay.
And I was doing some really cool cyber stuff, which I cannot tell you about. And then I went back to the CIA in 2011. Then went to Northrop Grumman right down the street.
Okay.
Managed 80 cybersecurity practitioners. And then I went to the Office of Director of National Intelligence. So I helped them stand their insider threat program. They trusted me to set that up.
Yeah. What exactly is insider threat programs?
It's usually the biggest thing with insider threat is if somebody clicks on a link that they're not supposed to or whatever, and then they infect their entire network. Does that make any sense? So the biggest threat of all is the carelessness of people within your organization. So you put rules, governance rules, things that they have to follow, and so that they don't do anything stupid.
Not a week goes by without a news headline about potential medical supply shortages, threats to our infrastructure, or power grid. And you remember what they pulled during the last pandemic. Certain medications were mysteriously out of stock. No way will I ever let that happen again. In today's unpredictable world, it's all about being prepared for who opportunity.
Yeah.
So Gina was the one who withheld information from Trump?
And I believe Mike Pompeo did the same thing too.
Mike Pompeo did the same thing?
I felt
What? Wait, Mike Pompeo is still part of the administration, I think. No? Hold on, let me fact check this really quick. Okay, he's not. Yeah, he's the former Secretary of State. Is he? Okay, yeah, he's no longer in. I was like, wait a second.
Amjad Fasisi states as fact that Trump would call Putin and tell him secret intelligence information.
he would give it away.
Yeah.
He would call Vladimir Putin and tell him this. Have it done. No, I'm being serious. You asked me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to give you a simplistic answer, but he's a fucking moron.
So you think Gina and Mike Pompeo worked with the heads of the
I
other
believe so. I mean,
to withhold information from Trump?
Yeah.
So the agencies kind of like all got together and said, we're not going to tell Trump.
The higher ups.
The higher ups.
You put it this way: the executive staff. We're talking about the director and his subordinates.
Okay.
And these are
Wow.
very smart people.
Like what titles are they? The
Director of the CIA.
director of the CIA would keep.
Yes.
So if they decided to get.
Yeah, it's up to him to share what he wants to share.
Yeah.
He's a director.
How do you keep information away from Trump?
Give it to him.
But wouldn't he ask?
But if he doesn't know, he doesn't know.
Amjad Fasisi also states as
That's the confirmation of the third branch of government that the intelligence agencies are actually running the country, and then they just use the president as the puppet figure for the country because they are essentially running all of the operations and then deciding whether or not they're going to tell that information to the president, who is their boss, by the way. The president of the United States is the head of the executive agency. He is literally the boss. So what they're saying is like, oh, we're actually running the country. This is the shadow government, the intelligence agencies, and we'll let the president know when we need him. This is why the CIA and the intelligence agencies need a fucking leash, because they are way over inflated on their power and they need to be reined back in.
fact that Trump is under constant surveillance and even claims they are spying on his ex-wife. We are assuming Amjad is speaking of Marla Maples.
How did you guys figure out that Trump was colluding with the Russians? Did you guys use?
It's just human intelligence. I can't give you a straight answer. I don't know. But we have human intelligence, and we also have people that monitor his life. He likes to use porno files.
Can I say that one more time? He likes to use what?
Porno photos. Porno.
Yeah, lean closer into the microphone. What did you say? Come a little closer to the mic.
What does that mean?
That means a prepaid phone card that's not attached to. It's not on the network. It doesn't ping the tower.
Like a dummy phone? Like a dumb phone? Like a flip phone?
That's called a button.
I've had it with all my personal and private information being exposed and exploited.
The outcome of that is in the Mueller report.
Was it the CIA or the NSA that spied on Trump?
So it should be all of them.
So you guys had human sources.
Of course, and then we also have cybersecurity. A lot of them. How do you think we get information?
Like wiretapping? Is that what?
Steal it.
Okay.
Other countries just like that.
So like
As though there is not already enough controversy around Israel, Amjad Fasisi, again, a high-level government contractor, states he doesn't trust Israel and they, quote, steal intelligence from us.
like
So, for example, Israel, our ally.
who? Israel. Okay.
Israel, our ally.
Uh-huh.
I don't trust them. You know why? They still ship from us
Like what?
information. So do we, by the way.
Like what kind?
The double standard is crazy. We steal information from them, but they shouldn't steal information back from us. Shut the fuck up. Well, so do we. Okay, so you're both stealing information with each other. Shut up.
Kind of information? Like weapons or?
Weapons, stuff we don't want to share.
So they're not really our friends.
Nobody's really sure about that.
That part is true. That part is true. Nobody's
so
our
the
friend.
intel community was able to use spies to spy on Trump and his team. And that's how we found out that he was colluding with the Russians.
And as any good spy would do, Fasisi makes it clear that, quote, this conversation didn't happen.
This conversation didn't happen.
Of course.
I get it.
Oh, yeah, it didn't happen.
That's so badass. Are you guys
4K, this conversation didn't happen.
still watching him?
I would say yes.
Like, the intel community is still monitoring him and spying
Hi,
on
Miss
him.
Tiger.
And it sounds like you guys are still watching him and his team.
Of course we are. Nothing goes by without somebody watching.
Yeah.
Just rest assured. I promise.
Amjad Fasisi, a program manager contracted at the CIA, talks about how the CIA kept information from Trump. Amjad also discloses that the directors of the CIA would give Trump high-level overviews, but never give him any details. Fasisi also
So the whole purpose, right, that I'm showing you this is that this guy is confirming what was just showed to you in the released documents that Donald Trump just published, okay? So when they said, hey, the NSA is leaving this election information out of the presidential daily brief, this guy who works at the CIA and the NSA confirms that that is happening. It's no longer just an allegation. It is a confirmation that they've been doing this for a long period of time and continuing to abuse the FISA system to spy on Donald Trump, his friends, and his ex-wife. I want to see the FISA warrant application for spying on Marla Maples.
also spills that all the intelligence agencies thought that President Trump was a, quote, fucking dumbass and would disclose information, unquote. When asked, how do you keep information from President Trump, our subject says, quote, don't give it to him.
Like working.
We kept information from him because we knew he'd fucking disclose
Wait,
it.
say that one more time.
We kept information from him.
From Trump?
Yes, he's an idiot. And there are certain people that would give him a high-level overview, but never give it to anybody. You know why? It's called leak those details.
Do we have proof
Like you just did in 4K.
for that?
No, but we all believe because he's the biggest fucking idiot.
So you're saying that your agency, or CIA,
A lot of the agencies, but yes.
kept information away? Or,
Yes, because we knew that we'd be careless with it.
yeah.
Like store it in the back shower alone. Exactly.
So you guys would on purpose keep certain information away from Trump.
He's an idiot. He's an absolute idiot. He's an idiot. He has no idea.
So the generals or like
Everybody.
yeah, they would just not share anything with him.
We all did. We all thought he was fucking dumb.
Who's we?
All the intelligence agents.
In full-on bureaucratic elitist fashion, Amjad Fasisi describes the only people in the CIA that support Trump are rednecks that live.
So just so we're clear, anyone that we elect as president no longer matters because they will not be able to truly have authority over the executive branch because the intelligence agencies are actually running the country. So it doesn't matter if you get voted into office. If the intelligence agencies don't like you and they don't trust you, you will never be able to actually hold that office, which goes to show that the executive branch is just a puppet. It's not true representation from the United States citizen, no matter who you put up there.
In the sticks and brainwashed stupid idiots.
Thank you, Miss Tiger, for the $10 super sticker. Appreciate you.
Are you kidding me?
Rednecks who live out in the middle of nowhere in the sticks.
Like, how would you describe those people who still support Trump? These, like, after what happened on January, brainwashed?
Brainwashed, stupid, illiterate.
Amjad Fasisi with the CIA states there is, quote, no way Trump will get elected again.
He's not going to get reelected again. I've done the math. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's impossible. How do you feel about that now, him being the sitting president? Oops. So this must have been an older interview, by the way. This would have been before the presidential election took place.
There are more of us than there are them. We have a choice here. Do we want our democracy or do we want some fucking madman who wants to be a dictator?
Amjad Fasisi states as fact that the NSA, CIA, and other departments within the intel community don't trust each other, therefore don't share information.
Does the CIA work with the NSA?
No, because they're very territorial. Because they don't like sharing information. That is a fucking problem. We don't share information across agencies. NSA has outed, gotten a lot of achievement. CIA personnel killed. So the CIA is where reluctant to share with the NSA.
So the NSA is careless.
Yeah.
Possible violations of the law here include obstruction of justice by deception, conspiracy to obstruct, false statements, that's 18 USC 1001. The actions of the directors and the executive staff of the CIA might even trigger violations of the Espionage Act. Some of these trigger felony provisions, other trigger misdemeanors. That depends upon how serious the prosecutor thinks the violation is. Depends upon what his exact contracting status was, within which federal silo he.
In short, he will probably get a slap on the wrist and the intelligence agencies will likely just cover up for him. Unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with. So this information ties into the information that I gave you about the CIA, the NSA, holding and withholding information from Donald Trump, which is what Donald Trump had explained to us during his speech the other day. So let's get back into the documents. I've taken a little breather here so I can get back to reading all of this stuff for you. So let's get back to, we went through canvasser, register to vote. Yeah, here we go. All right, let's pull this one up. All right. So this is continuing into the Muskegon situation where they are canvassing voters and they're trying to pay people to register to vote. So Redacted worked for Redacted in 2020. He was tasked to find out people who are not registered to vote and to do whatever he could to get those people to sign up to vote. Redacted girlfriend Redacted worked for Redacted and recruited Redacted to join her by showing him how much money Redacted could make. Redacted would make $700 to $800 a week. Redacted had an office on Redacted near Redacted. Sorry, lots of redactions, guys. And wore a green shirt with Redacted on it. There was an older white guy, possibly named Redacted or Redacted, and a black lady named Redacted from Redacted, who would task employees daily. Redacted initially drove a van, drop off workers. She dropped off Redacted several times before she moved on to a different position. So Redacted was dropped off at different locations around Muskegon daily to find out people to register to vote. Some people would register on more than one occasion. At the end of each shift, all of the applications were turned over to the supervisor. Redacted was never asked to, nor did he ever fraudulently fill out applications. Redacted was paid hourly, not by the number of applications. Redacted knew some people got more money for more signatures. Some people had their friends sign duplicate applications. If you were good at your job, you might get promotion to driver or supervisor. There was not a quota for each shift/day. Some people thought Redacted worked for Joe Biden. If they were not getting people to register to vote, and others were tasked to go door to door to hang flyers saying vote for Joe Biden. Something seemed off to Redacted. After a short time work Redacted, he quit. It was weird to find people who needed to register to vote, then put up flyers for people to vote for Biden. After a while, Redacted heard that Redacted building was raided by the police. Redacted knew that a lot of people also worked for Redacted. Redacted brothers were really into it. Redacted and Redacted also worked there. Redacted confirmed he filled out and signed a canvasser contract while working for Redacted. Okay, so that was the last one for that section. So let me pull up the next one. Okay. All right. Redacted worked for Redacted sometime between September and October. She worked Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. At the time, she was taking care of an elderly person and was contacted by someone about the job with Redacted. She went to an eyewear store near Dollar General and provided her driver's license and was given a W-2 form and other paperwork. Redacted was paid by a Visa card every 2 weeks. She did not recall how much she was paid, but it was based on the amount of hours she worked. She did not file taxes on the money she made working for the company. Well, that is illegal. Redacted was dropped off at different stores like Save-A-Lot, Family Dollar, liquor stores, and would ask people as they entered the store whether they were registered to vote. A van would drop people off at stores. The employees had a goal for each day with regards to how many voter registration forms were completed. There were no incentives for producing certain amount of forms. Redacted thought people might be forging signatures because the younger employees would return with a lot of signed registration forms, and she only would have had 3 or 4 for the entire week. Redacted ID did not forge signatures on voter registration forms. The supervisors told Redacted what they were doing and was cleared with the Secretary of State. This would be Anthony Blinken at the time. This is Joe Biden's Sec of State. And this is upcoming for the 2024 presidential election, by the way. The employees would return signed voter registration forms in the main office, and there would be a paper with their names on it, and they would tally how many forms they turned in. Redacted never heard about incentives for producing more registration forms from the supervisor. Redacted confirmed it was her handwriting and her signature on the canvasser contract attached with 1A. Okay. Would it be the Michigan Secretary of State? It could possibly be the Michigan Secretary of State. It could possibly be Anthony Blinken. They don't describe who the Secretary of State is and who exactly they're referencing, who they got authorization to do this with. I think this is actually kind of crazy, and it just shows the operation that the Democratic Party is working on. Okay. Republicans are not doing these things. I'm just going to be honest. Republicans are not creating organizations that are grabbing people and paying people to go register people to vote, right? NSA can drone you. Sure, but they would be droning a military base, so that would be kind of difficult for them to do. I wouldn't advise the NSA to try to drone my location, but, you know, we'll see. See what happens. But it's not going to stop me from telling the truth. I'm going to completely continue to read this. Let me see. Covered that. Okay, moving on to the next document. Okay. So this was kind of evidence of the fake voter registrations that were occurring here. On May 5th, 2022, Ryder conducted searches in Clear, Accurate, and through Secretary of State on Redacted to determine if the information on her voter registration form is fraudulent. The returns are included below. There were no results for Redacted. Ryder also tried Redacted with the date of birth listed on the form. There were no results for Redacted. Ryder also tried Redacted in Michigan. The address listed on the voter registration form does not exist. So this is pure evidence of fraud. It's pure evidence that people were going on to forge registrations for people who did not sign up, people who don't have an address. Okay. So I find it interesting because the left keeps telling us there's no evidence that fraud is occurring here. This is clear evidence of fraud. Let's go to the next one. Not that one yet. Where's the second voter fraud memo? Here it is. All right. No, that's the timeline. That's not what I asked for. We'll go over the timeline here in a second. Try this one again. Okay, here we go. On March 22nd, 2022, Ryder conducted searches in Accurate, Clear, and through the Secretary of State on Redacted to determine if the information on his voter registration form is fraudulent. The returns are included below. There were no returns for Redacted with the same date of birth as the voter registration form. The address listed on the voter registration form is not a residence in Muskegon, Michigan, and the zip code listed for that street is incorrect. The number listed on the voter registration form is inactive and does not return to Redacted. Oops. Oops. That would be fraud, ladies and gentlemen. That would be clear proof of fraud in this instance. All right. I believe there is one more report on the finding of fraud. Hold on really quick. I think it's this one. Okay. We've completed our database checks on 20 random selected voter registration applications, apparently different handwriting from those identified by Muskegon clerk and potentially fraudulent. We compared the names, the last four numbers of the Social Security and Michigan driver's license number, date of birth, gender, address, and phone number listed on the application to those found in available databases. We found the following. Name located, address, date of birth, Social Security number don't match, phone number matches. Unable to locate anyone by that name. Address does not exist, phone number does not return to anyone. Name located, date of birth matches, middle name is different than the initial provided. No indication individual ever lived at the listed address or has ever listed the phone number. Name located, all information matches. Unable to locate anyone by that name or date of birth. Address exists, but residents do not match. Name located, all information matches. Unable to locate anyone by that name and date of birth. Address exists, residents do not match. Number 8, and I think this is going over the 20 random selected voter registration applications. So now we're on number 8. Name located, date of birth matches, Social Security number does not match, address matches. Number 9, unable to locate anyone by that name, address does not exist, phone number is inactive, but returns to a different name. Number 10, name located, date of birth matches, Social Security number does not match, address does not match. Name located, date of birth, and Social Security match, address does not exist, doesn't appear to have lived in Muskegon. Number 12, name located, all information matches except phone number inactive. Number 13, name located, all information matches except phone number is inactive. 14, name located, deceased, but was alive at the time of registration, all information matches except address. Number 15, unable to locate anyone by that name or date of birth, address does not exist, phone is inactive. Number 16, unable to locate anyone by that name and date of birth. Address does not exist. Phone number is inactive. 17, name located, date of birth matches, formerly lived at the address, driver's license number is wrong. Number, I think that was 17. This is 18. Name located, date of birth, social security, and address match. Phone number is inactive. Unable to locate for number 19. Anyone by that name or date of birth. Address is a park. Address is a park. Oh my. Address is a park. Unable to locate phone number. All right, number 20. Name located, date of birth, social security number, and address match. Phone number is inactive. Based on these results, it appears as though 7 of the applications contain completely fabricated information. 4 of the applications contain a real name, but date of birth, driver's license, and social security number does not match. 1 of the applications contain a real name, but the middle name does not match. 1 of the application is for someone who does not appear to have ever lived in Muskegon and has a fabricated address. 7 of the application contain all correct and nearly all correct information. Whew. Parks can vote now. Yeah, that's where we've gotten to. That's what happens when you pay people to register people to vote. Okay, because they're going to try to come back with something they can get money for. This is a bad way to do things. And this is what a woman was caught in California, was down trying to register the homeless to vote. They don't have an address. And a lot of people talk about the phone call that Donald Trump had with the governor of Michigan saying, well, find me the 10,000 votes. Many people leave out the entire phone call where Donald Trump was bringing up all of the things that were listed in what I just read you. That addresses weren't lining up, deceased people were voting, vacant houses were voting, people don't even live there. Okay. A lot of this stuff was brought up. There was no purging of the voter rolls or anything like that. So that was the confirmation that the fraud was taking place with these specific people. Let me pull this up, grab this, and swap over. Okay. This EC serves to summarize allegations of fraudulent voter registrations being submitted to Muskegon City Clerk's office. Detroit field office was informed that Michigan State Police, Michigan Attorney General, and Muskegon Police Department were investigating allegations of fraud, voter registration being submitted to Muskegon City Clerk's office. The matter was referred to law enforcement by MCCO since or about 10/5 of 2020. MCCO received 6 packages via U.S. mail containing voter registration applications. MCCO determined that some of the applications were fraudulent based on non-existing addresses, invalid phone numbers, and applications, signatures on applications not matching the Michigan Secretary of State voting or DMV records. Okay, so it is the Michigan Secretary of State, so that has now been clarified. In addition, many applications appeared to have been sent the same handwriting. MCCO determined that the bulk applications were sent by Redacted, a resident of Redacted, as Redacted also delivered numerous applications with similar red flags. MCPD estimates approximately 8,000 to 10,000 applications, of which underdetermined number appeared fraudulent. Informed investigator, she works for Redacted and Redacted and was paid for voter registration work. She was involved in similar registration drives throughout multiple cities in Michigan. Open source search revealed that a candidate in 2018 Georgia District 7 congressional election paid $52,000 for field consulting and canvasser payments. A Centennial research revealed that positive results for Redacted related to restricted cases. 56E-BA, I'm not going to read all these numbers. The local and state law enforcement agency will continue their active investigation, will likely take over action by search warrant this week. On October 5th of 2020, MCCO Muskegon, Michigan began receiving state of Michigan voter registration applications via mail. In total, 6 packages. The application appeared to be fraudulent based on non-existent addresses, invalid telephone numbers, mismatched signatures when compared to the Michigan Secretary of State records, and multiple applications appeared to have the same handwriting and signatures. Okay. Wait, guys, I thought this wasn't happening. I thought the left said that mail-in ballots were totally fine and that, guys, there's no voter fraud taking place here at all. That's the problem with this. Multiple applications appear to have the same handwriting and same signatures. The packages were marked redacted and had 2 return addresses. Redacted, the address is Staybridge Street, and redacted address is single family residence. October 8th, 2020. Redacted turned in multiple voter applications at the MCCO. An employee at MCCO, aware of the suspicious applications received via mail, questioned Redacted, who advised she worked for Redacted, also advised she worked for Redacted, and was aware applications were mailed. Oops. So it seems like there's 2 separate entities that are doing this, by the way. On October 16th of 2020, the MCPD initiated an investigation into allegations of voter fraud. October 20th of 2020, so right before the election, Redacted returned to MCCO with a box of approximately 2,500 applications. The MCCO clerk contacted MCPD, who then interviewed Redacted, office in Redacted. She is paid $1,150 a week. Her job is to locate unregistered voters and provide them with a form to register/obtain their ballot. Oops. Redacted advised and had similar campaigns ongoing in Muskegon, Detroit, Ypsilanti, I'm probably going to fuck that up again, Southfield, and Flint and Lansing, which began on September 6, 2020. Redacted claimed all registrations were legitimate and cross-checked by Redacted, with the fraudulent registrations removed at their office. During the interview, Redacted raised red flags about providing an inaccurate date of birth, initiating claims her workers were paid by the application, then said that they were paid hourly, and had trouble recalling last name after initially providing it. After the interview, Redacted drove away in a Volkswagen Jetta, registered to an EAN Holdings Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and last rented by Redacted. In total, MCCO received approximately 8,000 to 10,000 forms in person or via mail associated with Redacted. On October 22nd, 2020, MSP initiated an investigation to assist MCPD. The investigation is being prosecuted by the AG's office. The MSP obtained about a 48-hour GPS warrant in which since has been renewed and last pinged at the Best Western Hotel in Grand Haven, Michigan. On October 26th of 2020, an evening email to the PCSSA indicated MSP's intention to brief the FBI Detroit election team the next day about alleged voter fraud. Again, all of this is right before the election. Cricket says, I swear I've gotten 2 election registration apps in the past in the mail in the last month for my ex who moved out 15 years ago. Yeah, they don't keep track of any of this stuff, by the way. Once you register, they never follow up to clean up these rolls, and they just keep sending out applications for mail-in ballots, by the way, which is ridiculous. This is why mail-in ballots are dumb. Let me see. Where was I at? Detroit PCOR discussed investigation would lead MSP. MSP could use assistance and general willingness to work jointly with the FBI on the condition that the USAO and the AG discuss and agree. On October 27th of 2020, Detroit notified U.S. attorneys EDMI and WDMI and had conversations with DOE the following day. MSP anticipates executing search warrants on Thursday, almost October 30th, but October 29, 2020, at the redacted location Best Western Grand Haven hotel room, redacted as scheduled to check out of the hotel 10/29 of 2020. Detroit will discuss the matter with MSP, MAG, and MCPD, as well as the United States Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Michigan and Western District of Michigan after the conclusion of the election, determine potential investigation steps. Whew. This is a long one. Thank you, Grumpy, for the $5 super chat. Let's go. W in the chat for that. MSPD Captain Redacted provided the FBI with a copy of the police report 2020, which is attached here too. So this points out blatant voter fraud right before the election. Right before the election, they were catching clear voter fraud. Why wasn't this accurately reported by the media that this was taking place? You would think that this would be a huge story for the media to put out there and say, hey, all of these people got caught trying to register voters for Joe Biden and got caught signing fake signatures in order to get registrations to vote and then filled out mail-in ballots and then sent them in. Thank you, Delala, for the $2 on Super Chat. It's gotta go. Thanks, Millie, as always. No problem. And the best part about YouTube is if you ever need to come back and rewatch all of this, it's all ready and available for you. All you have to go and do is get into the live streams, and then you can see all of that. Whew. Okay. So this lays out a 4-year case, by the way, that lays out the timeline of all of this, which most of you have already heard. I've read this portion lays out like the whole breakdown of what was reported. But what I thought was important in this, okay, is the federal government becomes aware of this situation and decides that they are not going to prosecute this unless someone files a FOIA request, which I thought was extremely sus. So let me see if I can find this portion where it literally lays out that they're not going to recommend charges. Of course, they reconsider that if somebody files a FOIA. So hold on just a second. Excuse me. I'm so glad that my brain is like on track today, even with having a lack of sleep. La 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 la. Okay. So let me make sure I get all of this correct. Okay, cool. Okay, so special agent spoke with a U.S. attorney who advised that he did not expect this case was going to lead to prosecution. Special Agent Redacted requested a written declaration from the United States Attorney's Office. Assistant Special Agent on the case emailed Special Agent to ask if the lab division ever got back with the exam results. The exam results that they're talking about is the handwritten analysis. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that. Getting handwritten analysis complete. So that's what they were waiting for. Assistant Special Agent in charge emailed Redacted asking for an update. Redacted responded that she had completed the handwriting analysis, but intended writing exams were still in progress. She advised that she would issue 2 separate reports, one for handwriting and one for the indented writing. Special Agent responded that one report was preferred as the U.S. Attorney's Office could not make a final determination until testing was complete. Redacted advised Special Agent Redacted via email, question document laboratory report was completed and provided copy, also uploaded Centennial on the same date. Special Agent forwarded Redacted email to U.S. Attorney's Office, or U.S. Attorney, by the way, that's what that means, and requested a charging decision. Special Agent Redacted attended a meeting with U.S. Attorney and Special Agent in charge. Special Agent in charge, they just keep doing all of that. members of PIN and added FBI and DOJ employees. U.S. attorney advised that there would be no prosecution in the redacted case. And this is where it gets funny. Special agent called assistant U.S. attorney, and requested an update on the written declaration. Redacted advised he would send a message up the chain and get back. Special agent advised redacted and redacted via email that there was no longer actively being investigated and that there had been prior FOIA requests. Redacted responded that she would leave a note in the case should requester come back. Special agent or secret special agent, I think it's specialized special agent is what that stands for, emailed U.S. attorney and U.S. attorney asking whether additional action from PIN was needed to obtain declaration. Assistant attorney, U.S. attorney advised that he anticipated having guidance from PIN between 9/3 and 9/13. Special agent emailed assistant U.S. attorney, requested update. Assistant U.S. attorney advised that his office had received a response from PIN, prompted followed discussions, that there was not yet an official position for the next steps in the case. Assistant special agent in charge advised the U.S. attorney, stated he reconsidered prosecution. Special agent emailed, redacted and redacted, that the U.S. attorney's office was considering prosecution, that in the event any FOIA requests were received, the case agent should be contacted. This is corruption at the highest level, you guys, because this is Joe Biden's administration. Okay, this is in 2024. This is Joe Biden's administration right before an election. And the special agent and the U.S. attorney's office is only considering prosecuting this case if, in the event, any FOIA requests were received. The case agent should be contacted. That's corruption, folks. That's corruption. Oh, we're not going to consider prosecution. Well, unless somebody digs into this case and files a Freedom of Information Act, well, then we'll pretend that we were actually considering prosecuting this. The fuck out of here. All right, guys. That covers quite a bit of the documents for the day. I think that I covered quite a lot. I even discussed like the person who came to the person who was an unregistered voter and that she ended up getting registered to vote somehow. I covered all of the stuff going on with China, but I also want to point out that even Biden's administration was saying that TikTok and China was using TikTok in order to influence elections online. So if I can get to that portion of the lawsuit, because this is the Supreme Court. This is when TikTok was suing the Biden administration because they banned TikTok. TikTok poses threats to U.S. national security. They've laid out all of that, but I want to get to the election portion. So I'll read this quick little snippet on that. The concern is not just that an app with TikTok's data harvesting and targeted recommendation capabilities could be used as a platform for dissemination, propaganda, disinformation, and other messages designed to influence democratic societies. Rather, it is that TikTok has the potential to sway elections, corrode people's faith in democracy, and undermine the will of open societies to compete against China's authoritarian model globally. I want to get into the other portion where it's saying that TikTok was specifically using, or CCP was specifically using TikTok to interfere in U.S. elections. Thank you, Stinky. Thank you. I'm going to need a Baja Blast after this. I truly am. There's a lot of stuff that I covered today. I wasn't even expecting to cover all of that. Okay. So right here, election interference. Okay. The current annual threat assessment stated point blank, China is demonstrating a higher degree of sophistication in its influence activities, including experimenting with generative AI. TikTok accounts run by the People's Republic of China propaganda arm reportedly targeted candidates from both political parties during the U.S. midterm election cycle in 2022. Similar in 22, National Intelligence Council reported key judgment. The intelligence community assesses that China tactically approved efforts to try to influence a handful of midterm races involving members of both U.S. political parties. We have a high confidence in this assessment. Indeed, the PRC, People's Republic of China, continues to be active in U.S. elections, especially against select down ballot candidates, mostly just this past year. Amicus FDD Brad Broman recently testified before Congress that China attacked both major presidential candidates in addition to certain congressional candidates who are critical of China. A new intelligence reports by Rutgers University declared that the conclusions of our research are clear. Whether content is promoted or muted, okay, this is what we experience on TikTok all the time as conservative content creators. Montana was just taken down again. Yeah, I'm not surprised. This is why I came over to YouTube to discuss these things, because it's very important. But TikTok censorship on the app in telling you what is misinformation and what is not misinformation is authoritarian in itself. This is why we can never have like hate speech laws or misinformation laws. Whether or not you think something is true or not, the best way to do that is counteract information with receipts, which is what I try to do, right? I'm not going to say we need to ban Candace Owens because she's spreading misinformation. I'm just going to show you the receipts of the actual truth. That's the way that you combat those people. So, whether content is promoted or muted on TikTok appears to depend on whether it is aligned or opposed to the interests of the Chinese government. Promoted is something I would also like to push out there, because people like Dean and Parker are constantly promoted on TikTok. They're constantly funneled through the FYP. Okay, so the people that you need to pay attention to is who is constantly being promoted and who is constantly being muted on TikTok. Okay, and that's per the Chinese government. More specifically, using the same method analysis did TikTok itself in defense to charges of anti-Semitism. The Rutgers study compared relative hashtags used on TikTok and Instagram, TikTok's main competitor in social media. It focused on 6 issues directly sensitive to the People's Republic of China, the treatment of Chinese, Uyghurs, the unalivings in Beijing's Tiananmen Times Square at 1989, China's annexation and administration of Tibet, Hong Kong's China claim to Taiwan, and China's claim on the South China Sea. It then added analysis of 3 additional areas, all relative to the People's Republic of China's geopolitical interests: the Ukraine-Russia war, Kashmir independence, and the Israel-Hamas war. The study used a control group topics concerning other political issues, not the ones that were China sensitive, and popular culture such as pop music, video games, and sports. In the control group, hashtags and Instagrams compared to TikTok were comparable, well within the ranges expected. For example, the video game Grand Theft Auto 6 was tagged just about evenly 1-to-1 ratio as pop singer Shakira 0.9-to-1 ratio. Taylor Swift was more popular on Instagram with a 2-to-1 ratio, but still with a expected range, since the number of posts with popular culture hashtags on TikTok is approximately half of that of Instagram. The same was true for general political topics, not specifically a worry for China. The hashtag Trump was 2 to 2 times more prevalent in Instagram than TikTok, which adjusted for the observed political biases in the user's platform, which within the expected range. But so was the hashtag BLM, about 1.9-to-1. The hashtag Biden was given about a 1-to-1 ratio. Both were within the expected range, given the hashtags related to politics about twice as common for Instagram as it was for TikTok. So, which proves what we've all been saying as TikTok content creators. There are certain subjects that you simply cannot talk about on TikTok without getting violations, because TikTok wants to be able to control what they believe is misinformation and what is not misinformation. If all the big creators came to YouTube, TikTok would be broke. Yes, but YouTube needs to figure out how to best mimic TikTok. So the incentivization of like animations with GIFs, right? That's something that's unique to TikTok that other platforms for some reason does not do. On top of that, they don't have the portion of which I can guest request people into my YouTube space. So I can't take someone from my chat, invite them up into my YouTube space to have a conversation with them. That's what YouTube needs to fix in order to be able to accurately compete with TikTok. So hopefully people understand that. Fuck Donald Trump forever. Middle fingers up. Oh, I'm so sorry your butt hurt. I hope that you understand that Donald Trump's only president for another 2 years, and then you're going to have to deal with another Republican that's going to come in and have way, way better PR than Donald Trump, and you guys are going to drown because you won't be able to actually compete with the slandering of Donald Trump, calling him a rapist and a felon and everything under the sun. Good luck dealing with Marco Rubio. By the way, just so we're clear, the left is uncertain of who they're even putting up for a presidential candidate in 2028. Who is that person? Go ahead and put up Gavin Newsom so I can just show constantly him apologizing for cheating on his wife with his campaign manager's wife. Can't wait to put that out there. Can't wait. I can't wait to show the multiple times that Gavin Newsom was a hypocrite when he implemented C-19 restrictions on his constituents, but he got to do whatever the fuck he wanted. I can't wait to expose the amount of fraud with the fire money and the what was it? Why can't I think of the word right now? I'm so like mentally drained. It was just a fund that they put together. It was a charity that they put together for the fire aid victims and the homeless, by the way. I can't wait to expose that fraud too. It's going to be really, really fun to do that. So I really hope that they pick Gavin Newsom because it'll be the best day. I'm going to have a field day with all the shit that he stepped in. And then AOC, like who else is the left going to put up? The Palisades. Speaking of which, I'm glad that we brought up the Palisades because I kind of wanted to go over what. Oops, sorry. I want to go over what Spencer Pratt had actually recently put out. He put out a new video. So actually, we can first cover the water main break in West Hollywood because that was something that I missed this morning to cover. And this is Boulevard. A prime example of Karen Bass's failures. But the left went and reelected her again for whatever reason.
That water main that broke in West Hollywood is more than 100 years old. I'm Alex Rozier with NBC LA. Check out this new drone video we shot above Sunset Boulevard. It shows that massive sinkhole that's now formed as a result of that water main break that happened shortly after 3 a.m. LA County Fire Department said they were able to stop the flow of the water main, but not until around 7 a.m., about 4 hours later. It caused all sorts of problems, significant damage to cars, roads, apartments, and businesses nearby.
These are highly pressurized pipes, so crews needed to work very carefully to avoid any further damage.
Once everything is shut down, we're going to, when it's safe, we'll go in, we'll pump the water out of the hole that we have. We'll make an assessment that will determine then how long would it take us to make the repairs.
This is one of the challenges when our infrastructure is so old. It's my understanding that.
Well, I don't understand. Like, you understand the infrastructure is so old. Why aren't you repairing the infrastructure? LA is one of the biggest revenue bringers for all of California. Why can't LA spend the money to fix their infrastructure? This is the second major issue that Karen Bass has produced with her lack of paying attention to the infrastructure in the area. And these idiots just got done putting her back on the primary ballot and then kicking Spencer Pratt off the ballot, which we all understand what happened with that primary, by the way. Spencer Pratt was leading Nithya Raman, okay? Leading her. Then all of a sudden, all of these extra mail-in ballots got counted, and Nithya Raman just ends up completely surpassing Spencer Pratt. Right? And then like Karen Bass's numbers really didn't fluctuate either. So just all of these ballots came in. They were just all for Nithya Raman. On top of that, there was a ballot initiative attached to that where people signed off to have their property taxes increased. Chat, raise your hand if you have ever signed a ballot initiative and said, yes, I would like to be taxed more. Since when? Oh, chat, let me know really quick. Have you ever signed a ballot initiative that says, yes, raise my property taxes? No.
These pipes are over 100 years old.
Hell no.
You heard Karen Bass in that clip.
So it's not just like the reservoirs that were a problem for Karen Bass, but it was also just like basic water pipes and potholes. This woman does literally nothing for LA, yet they keep putting her back in that position. So here's the video that Spencer Pratt had just recently released. I love this.
Tonight, we're taking a closer look at ballot harvesting.
They call it ballot harvesting.
Ballot harvesting. Ballot harvesting can be one of the most confusing and contentious ways to cast a ballot.
Now, what is ballot harvesting? Well, first off, it's illegal in normal states, but in California, it's perfectly legal. Ballot harvesting is when you terminate the chain of custody that is meant to ensure secure voting, and it gives non-election officials, including employees of the candidates, legal access to your ballot to do whatever they want with it.
Practice involves a third party picking up a ballot a voter has filled out and dropping it off at a drop box or an elections department. Ballot harvesting could lead to someone voting in place of someone else, or allow a third party to tamper with or throw out ballots.
It used to be restricted to just immediate family members. California opened it up to anybody.
Prior to 2013, a voter had to be ill or disabled for someone else to return a ballot for them, and they had to be a family member or from the same household. After 2013, you no longer had to be sick or disabled. If you wanted a member of your household to return your ballot, they could. In 2016, the law changed again, so anyone could return your ballot, and there was no limit on how many ballots they could turn in.
They don't want any.
That's not corrupt at all, guys. That doesn't scream corruption. Just anybody could turn in your ballot, right? They don't even need to fucking know you. They could just turn in your ballot. Come on. This is why the federal government has to do overreach and oversight on how states are conducting their elections, because nobody should be able to defraud the state of pure democracy by allowing people to mail in votes that don't even belong to them. That should never be allowed, period. Okay, this is why mail-in voting is a problem. I just want to give a quick shout out. Thank you, K-Scope. He sent us $50 on Cash App. He said, keep it at a big dog. Let's go. Thank you so much, K-Scope. Appreciate you. All right, let's finish this off.
Anything to get in the way of their ballot harvesting operation. This is their playbook. It's been their playbook for decades.
Anyone can take your ballot. Proponents of ballot harvesting will pretend that it's necessary because people who live in remote areas and the elderly can't figure out how to send mail, and they need a blue-haired commie to do it for them. Obviously, this is fake. You can send mail by putting it in your own mailbox. So if you have the capacity to receive the ballot, you have the exact same capacity to send the ballot. The mere fact that you have the ballot is proof that you don't need a stranger to send it. This isn't about helping people send in their ballots. It's about giving activists access to your ballot so they can rig the game. This new system is so bad, even the LA Times called for its repeal, warning that it does open the door to coercion and fraud. Now, on paper, it is illegal for ballot harvesters to tell you how to vote or influence you in any way. They cannot tell you what to vote for, but what stops them from doing it? What stops a Nithya Raman supporter from collecting ballots at homes with Pratt signs on their lawn and then just throwing them in the garbage? Well, nothing. Ballot harvesting lets the camel's nose under the tent. It introduces the menace of political activists influencing voters and electioneering at the polling place, but out of view of authorities, removing voting from the sterile field. You can't electioneer at the polling site where you vote in person, but now the ballots are sent to everyone's homes. Everyone's home is now a polling site, but there ain't nobody overseeing the laws. The casino has rigged the game. That's why they never lose.
They can just
Did Tim Burton like do this AI for Spencer Pratt? Because this is clearly like a Tim Burton animation.
Go and send out a bunch of labor organizers, go through housing projects, go through homeless encampments, get votes from people who weren't planning on voting, get them to vote in the ways they wanted them to.
It may be tough to coerce a vote at a polling site. The people there are committed voters and they've already made up their minds. But when everyone in California gets a ballot, that includes a lot of apathetic people who never vote and simply don't care. Easily talked into voting for the commie candidate when one of their minions harasses them at the door and says, "Hey, you want a rent freeze? You want free stuff? Vote for Nithya. Hey, I'll take the ballot for you. You know what? Why don't you just sign the envelope? I'll deal with all the paperwork." Is that legal? Nope. But who's watching? You think the apathetic non-voter is going to call the authorities to report illegal electioneering? The game is rigged. You can play if you choose, but the House will never lose.
The solution is so simple. Mail ballots need to be banned. They're too vulnerable to fraud. It's also a laughably inefficient and primitive system. We should be voting by phone. All of our phones have high-level security and biometric ID with face and fingerprint recognition. We already use our phones for banking, medical records, TSA, crypto. If it's secure enough for all of that, it's secure enough for voting. Every phone vote will be posted to a public ledger anonymously with a unique ID that only you can possess. So you can go online to the ledger, validate that your vote was counted, and every item you vote for was properly cast. The results would be perfect and instantaneous, with results at 8 p.m. on election night, the moment polls close. Not only would the vote be more secure, more efficient, and more accurate, turnout would skyrocket. This is a 360 win, and there's literally no good reason to not vote this way in this modern era, unless, of course, you don't want the fraud to stop.
I mean, honestly, it's not a bad idea if you think about it, right? Because now you have fingerprinting. So if you cast your ballot, your fingerprint's on it. If we ever need to go back and trace that you are who you are, you just pop your fingerprint on it. Now there's no dispute because fingerprints are only identical to your body. That is it. Everyone has a unique fingerprint. So I think that's actually a great idea. I don't think I have too many disagreements with it, other than some people may be able to hack your phone. But I don't know, something to reflect on. I'd have to spend more time thinking about it. Okay, so let me see. I covered everything with Spencer Pratt. I thought this one was interesting that Savannah Hernandez had covered on. DHS alongside DOT found that 75 CDL schools suspected of helping illegals fraudulently qualify for CDL licenses because the Department of Transportation and DHS has already put their foot down about this. They clearly said you cannot register illegal aliens to have a CDL. So they've already put a stop to that.
ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਸੀਡੀਐਲ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਉਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਡੇਟਨ ਓਹਾਇਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 3 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਇੱਥੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਪੈਂਦੇ ਨੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਤੇ ਉਤਰਨਾ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਈ ਜੀ ਹੋਰੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ 에ਅਰਪੋਰਟ ਤੋਂ ਪਿਕ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਲੀਨ এনवायरमेंट ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰੱਖਣਗੇ ਘਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫੂਡ ਵਧੀਆ ਮਿਲੇਗਾ ਗੱਡੀ ਦੀ ਚਾਬੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫੜਾਉਣਗੇ ਆਉਣ ਜਾਣ ਲਈ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਫਰਜ਼ੀਵਾੜੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੋਰ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਸਕੂਲ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਚ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਨੇ ਸਟੇਟ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਮਿਨੀਮਮ ਡਿਪੋਜ਼ਿਟ ਲੈ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ $300 ਤੋਂ $500 ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ $2000-3000 ਖਰਚਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਔਰ 3 ਵੀਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਲਦੀ ਕਰੋਗੇ ਤਾਂ 2 ਵੀਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਲੈ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਲੇਕਿਨ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਮਾਰਟ ਬਣਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਹੈ ਔਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਟ੍ਰੇਨਿੰਗ ਸਕੂਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਧੀਆ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਰਾ ਕੁਝ ਇੰਸਟਰਕਟ ਕਰਨਗੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇੰਸਟਰਕਟਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਵਧੀਆ ਨੇ 10 ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਘੱਟੋ ਘੱਟ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਟਰੱਕ ਨੇ 2-3 ਟਰੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ 10 ਟਰੱਕ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਛੇਤੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ
It seems legit. This seems super legit. Oh, wait, what about Dayton, Ohio? No, this is Dayton, Ohio. Like, that's where this is at. They're advertising this in Dayton. Hang on. It was at the beginning of the video, I think, where they laid out that this is in Dayton itself. Hold on, where was it? I'll just play
ਜੇਕਰ
from the
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਵੀ
beginning.
ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੈਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਸੀਡੀਐਲ ਲਾਇਸੈਂਸ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਆਉਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਜੀ ਡੇਟਨ ਓਹਾਇਓ
Dayton, Ohio. So watch out in Ohio over here, folks. This is what you got to deal with. How many times do we have to watch like illegal aliens slam in and unalive other people because they don't know how to actually drive a tractor trailer? And I've said this too about RVs as well. I think it's crazy that you can drive off a lot with an RV without ever having to do a single driver's course on how to make sure that that RV doesn't plow into other people. Because when I bought our fifth wheeler, we started off with a travel trailer, and we started then after that went into a fifth wheel. There's no driver's course for that. You can just buy it and drive right off the lot with it. I think that's crazy even today with all the people who can drive off the lot with their RV. We're talking about like 15,000 pounds payload that you're bringing with you. So I don't know why people still allow that.
Water main that
Let me see. We covered that. Covered Scott Bessent. This is what John Solomon had to say about the presidential speech last night. So I can play that for you guys as well. And then we'll probably start wrapping it up here soon.
Well, listen, I talked to the intelligence chiefs in the last few days as we got prepared for this. It's very important to understand, the president said this tonight, every intelligence chief vetted this speech. They made sure it was accurate. They told me they had never been briefed on the size of the breaches, the 230 million Americans, the 220 million Americans whose data was stolen, that they consider it a security breach. How many times on your network have you reported that 5 countries are capable of hacking our election machines? When is the last time you reported that Venezuela actually succeeded in breaching a machine which has implications for our future security? You haven't, because it was never made public. It has not been made to Congress. It's not been told to the president in the past. We checked the presidential daily briefs. A president was kept from this information. Now we have a chance to fix a glass chin of election security, make the 26th election more secure. But listen, I talked to the intelligence.
Yeah. So the issue being is that we already knew that Venezuela had their elections hacked, and their voting machines actually successfully got hacked as well. It's not this post.
Let me ask.
I believe it is this post. Sorry, guys. There were so many documents yesterday. It's really hard to get everything covered in one episode, and I may just have to come back in next week and cover the rest of it. But here was the post inside one of the files that said, from Nikki Flores, I am basically running a shadow government across the FBI at this point. Isn't that crazy concept to think of?
Damn, that's crazy as hell.
It's almost like we said that was happening. We said that there's no way that Joe Biden is sitting at the helm of this.
Deep state.
Newly declassified election documents show Venezuela had compromised election infrastructure dating back to 2004. Intelligence community reporting from 2004 to 2020 documented persistent concerns about Venezuelan government manipulation of electronic voting systems and the potential national security implications for U.S. election fraud. The intelligence established that the Venezuelan government officials developed sustained interest and likely some capability in manipulating electronic voting systems, including Smartmatic technology, to influence electoral outcomes in Venezuela. Crazy work, right? Prior to Venezuela's 2012 presidential election, Redacted reported that the Chavez intelligence services, including the General Directorate of Military Counterintelligence and the Bolivarian Intelligence Service, worked with the National Electoral Council and Smartmatic to develop plans to manipulate election results using the pre-programmed voting machines. Redacted reported that these plans called for deploying altered machines to approximately 300 voting centers in traditionally pro-Chavez areas to ensure victory by approximately 1.5 million votes. Following the election, which Chavez won by approximately 1.6 million votes, sources reported that Chavez congratulated his team for successfully implementing the manipulation plan. Oopsies. In September of 2020, Redacted reported that Venezuela, Redacted, had developed detailed technical plans to manipulate the December 2020 National Assembly elections using that were redacted. According to this reporting, the technique involved creating a second set of virtual machines that would replicate legitimate voting machine results, then substitute manipulated data while making votes appear to originate from legitimate machines. Redacted. Oof. Crazy work. How do you feel about that, Mideast? Just curious. Oof.
Honestly, fucking cooked. Like, there's so much frustration. I don't even like I can even put into words the amount of frustration I have at this point. Like after hearing all this, seeing it, all the stuff that we've been saying, the battle, and it's just like, and it's right here. And then you have people that are like from the left, like messaging in to, different media outlets not to cover it.
Yeah, that was the most sus part of the situation is that, the mainstream media did not want to cover any of this activity. So it was, let me see. Nope, not this one. It was, okay. CNN joined ABC, NBC, and CBS in refusing to air Donald Trump's 9 p.m. White House address. They instead streamed it elsewhere to monitor the speech for the news in case they would need to cut in. Experts will be on standby to analyze it, meaning panic and try to debunk anything he says. Enemy of the people. It is enemy of the people. Why can't the mainstream media report on something as big as China influencing our elections? You would think that would be a no-brainer. Huge media story. The president is leaking CIA, NSA documents showing that he was left out of presidential briefs and that they were leaving information about the election interference out of the presidential daily briefs, being completely undermined by the U.S. intelligence agencies. Having confirmation of voter fraud in Michigan, they don't want to have that covered. This is why nobody trusts mainstream media anymore, because they refuse to tell you the truth. They refuse to keep you informed on relevant information because they are biased. They are literally at this point a propaganda arm for the left-wing politics. That's why everybody goes to podcasters now to get their information. And the mainstream media is like, I don't know why people don't trust us. This is why people don't trust you. It's all because they don't want any of the followers from the left to find out the validity of the 2020 election fraud accusation. They don't want people to know that. They don't want people to see the proof. They don't want to know that they found that Venezuela actively did have their election voting machines hacked. They don't want you to know that. Why? Because they don't need you to wake up and find out that you're being propagandized for the left. And I'm glad that it's not working as much as they want it to. Truly. And I will continue to do my part to try to rebut all of the propaganda that the left is constantly spewing, because you should believe the left when they say that they're communists. You should believe the left when they say that they're democratic socialists. This is not a conspiracy. This is not fear-mongering when the left admits that they're doing it. Millie, you need more mods. Martinez guy is an idiot. There. I put the user in timeout. Hopefully that works. All right, good. And that makes it easy. Lizard in the chat. Yeah, you're right, buddy. All right, I want to show you this video from RNC Research. You should actually follow this person on X. They put out a lot of good content. So I'll show this to you.
In recognizing a communist, physical appearance counts for nothing. If he openly declares himself to be a communist, we take his word for it.
I'm a democratic socialist. You call yourself a democratic socialist? I'm a democratic socialist. Mamdani is a self-described socialist.
I am a democratic socialist.
Claire Valdez, this is a candidate, again, aligned with the Democratic Socialists of America.
I'm a proud democratic socialist.
I identify as a democratic socialist, but I'm running as a Democrat. We will replace the frigidity of rugged individualism with the warmth of collectivism. We will prove that there is no problem too large for government to solve and no concern too small for it to care about.
If a person consistently reads and advocates the views expressed in a communist publication, he may be a communist.
Social media posts from Teresa Avila Chevalier's old X account, including favorable references to communism, Marxist ideology, and authoritarian communist figures.
As Eugene Debs once said,
If a person supports organizations which reflect communist teachings, she may be a communist.
I've been a member of New York City DSA for 7 years.
Feed the rich and feed the poor.
Okay, this also ties in to all the stuff that we are talking about China's interference in our politics, China's interference to try to sow division within the country by exploiting these weak spots, okay? The DSA gets funded by a lot of these entities. The DSA advocates for socialism in America, and they get paid to protest. Okay, these organizations pay their followings to show up and do this, to make all of the signs. The funny part about the Champagne Socialists is that their money comes from rich people. This isn't a grassroots movement where the poor people are putting all their money together to do this stuff. They get big bucks from big money while they're actively saying, we hate rich people, tax the rich need to go, all of that stuff. We want our socialist revolution. They won't say anything else about Hassan Piker, who lives in a nice apartment in LA, makes millions of dollars on a capitalist platform, yet he says he's a socialist and a communist. Karl Marx would spit on this person, by the way. If you read the Communist Manifesto, you would know that the true communists of old hate these people. You would be called a bourgeois or the petit bourgeois. There's no in between. If you have money and you're living comfortably in these nice luxury places, you are not part of the proletariat. These will be the first people to go in the communist revolution. They're called the useful idiots. Hassan Piker, all of these people at this protest, they will be the first to hit the door. You'll be the first in the gulag. Why? They don't need the people who bring about the revolution to still be there to bring about another revolution. So those people are instantly whacked. They only need the sheep. That's it.
If a person defends the activities of communist nations while consistently attacking the domestic and foreign policy of the United States, she may be a communist.
Cuba has a remarkable public health system.
We remember Fidel Castro, whose legacy is complex.
Sort of the opposite of what the United States has.
You know, when Fidel Castro came into office, you know what he did? He had a massive literacy program. Is that a bad thing?
There's a lot of dissidents imprisoned in Cuba.
That's right.
The actions and U.S. contributions to the suffering of Cubans.
This particular bullying and the use of sanctions.
Like other U.S. policies, the cruelty is the point.
It does not help the people.
How is it cruelty for a nation to say, I don't align with your values, I'm not going to do trade with you, and my friends aren't going to do trade with you? How is that cruelty? Especially with Cuba, you decided that you were going to take Russian missiles and point them at the US, yet we're now playing victim as if you didn't point missiles at us and being like, well, you shouldn't put economic sanctions on us. Huh? Did you think pointing missiles at the US from Russia wasn't going to have consequences, long-term consequences? This is silly. This is a free trade environment. And in a free trade global environment, in a global market, countries can say, I'm not going to do business with you. It's that easy.
Of countries like Venezuela.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response.
Social media post from Daria Lisa Avila Chevalier. One calls the United States an effing disgrace.
If a person does all these things over a period of time, he must be a communist.
I mean, our goal is liberation. Our goal is communism.
Shocker. That's the national DSA leader, okay? So when people say, oh, well, I don't see this on their website. Okay, well, I have footage of their leadership saying that they want communism. Yet all of these people on TikTok that we're constantly debating are saying, you guys are just scaring people. This is just the Red Scare all over again. It's coming out of the horse's mouth. It's coming straight out of the horse's mouth. Stop it. Also, the other thing, if a communist socialist nation is self-sustaining, why does it rely on trade from other capitalist nations? If your economic structure still relies on other capitalist nations to keep you afloat and trade with those nations, it is a failing structure. Because what they're openly admitting with Cuba is that they have to be able to do trades with one of the biggest capitalist countries in the world in order to stay afloat. That is self-admittance that your system fails at a fundamental level because it's not self-sustaining. So I'm glad I'm still trying to expose as much as possible about the DSA, still trying to expose things like ideological subversion. And I think, you know, Mideast and I have done a lot of work to try to bring that attention to that topic. Let me see. Let me make sure I covered everything and then make sure I didn't miss anything on today's news. We already went over the main Democratic debate moments. What is this? In National Digital Inclusion Alliance v. Trump, U.S. District Judge John D. Bates ruled on July 15th that the 2021 Digital Equity Act inclusion of racial minorities as covered population for grants violated the Constitution under strict scrutiny from the Supreme Court's 2023 Students for Fair Admissions decision. He severed that clause, allowing the competitive grant program to resume without race-based priorities for groups like low-income households, seniors, rural residents, and people with disabilities. The Trump administration, which halted the program in 2025 over DEI concerns, hailed it as a victory, while advocates welcomed the funding revival on equal terms. Yeah. So the system needs to stop cherry picking who gets lifted up and who doesn't. W.C. Smith says, is this the official move to YouTube? I don't know. I think maybe I'll do YouTube one day out of the week because I think I still have a lot of people on TikTok that still don't even know I moved over to an alt account. So there's still people on TikTok that would have no idea where I went. I would have to communicate those things to them. So what I might do is do maybe 2 days out of the week, Monday, Wednesday on TikTok, and then move over to YouTube on Friday until eventually everybody knows where I went and transitions off of that. Whether they want to do Rumble or whether or not they want to do YouTube, both are available. But I'm getting very fatigued with TikTok, and I don't really feel like constantly getting censored on a regular basis. We are still flirting with YouTube behind TikTok's back. Yeah, technically right now YouTube is our side chick. And I'm not sure if TikTok knows yet or not, but that's where we're at. All right, Trump administration presses banks to cut off undocumented immigrants' financial access. He already did that with the executive order, though. I'm pretty clear that already took place like a couple of weeks ago. The Trump administration is moving to cut illegal aliens from the U.S. banking system with the goal of making it far harder to maintain in America. Yeah, they already did that. That's old news. That's not new news. They did that executive order, I want to say like 2.5 weeks ago. I reported on this. So that's old news. That's not even new. All right, let's see what else we got. Gavin Newsom's California is now blocking parents from receiving medical records of their children after they turn 12 unless they receive consent from their child. That's wild. This is, again, going to start creating an environment where it's okay for the government to seize access of your child outside of your guardianship so that they can raise your child in their values.
Can you hold on. Wait, I'm like, can you? Okay, hold on. Let me understand this. So while he's 11, I'll have access to his medical records. But once he turns 12, the government locks me out.
Yes, because there's the I'm sure you've heard of HIPAA.
Yeah,
so
of course.
He now has privacy rights under HIPAA. Once he's 12.
So as a parent, I can't see my 12-year-old's medical records?
No.
What? I thought it was 14. I've heard.
Okay, so it's crazy, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm the bearer of bad news. Please don't listen.
No, I understand. You're just doing your job. It's
I
okay.
don't even agree with it. So, but, like, I literally had to have my daughter come in the doctor's office with me and say, you can give my mother access to, elevated access, and you can request elevated access, but your child has to agree to it.
Got it. Okay, he's not even going to understand what that is.
I know. It's so crazy. You're like, you know what?
He's an 11-year-old boy. He's like,
20 now, and he still goes, can't you call and make the doctor's appointment for me? And I'm like, no, sorry.
that is crazy work.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm so.
All of this, by the way, is because they want to be able to influence your children to be transgender and then lock you out of notifications that your children are doing these things, are participating in these things. All of this is so the state can have privacy with your child. This is so you can't be informed on very important information about your children while the government still requires you to pay for all of this. If you want to say, fine, children can have privacy within their medical care during this period of time, okay, then the child has to pay the bill. You can't say I can't have access to a service that I am paying for. So if the child can pay for the bill, then fine, they can have privacy, full access, all of that if they wanted. But they have to be able to emancipate themselves from the parent if they're going to do it that way. Because I'll be damned if I'm paying for a service and then you're telling me that I can't access the information from that service. It's my kid. So I hope people understand this is what the left wants to create federally. They want to distance the parent from their child because liberal women aren't having children. Okay? I want everybody to understand the analysis of this. Liberal women want to be able to have massive amounts of abortions. That is going to equate to a steep decline in liberal values over a long period of time because conservatives are having children. So at one pace, we'll just outbreed liberals because they continue to unalive their kids. So what they're going to do to counteract that is they're going to separate the child from the conservative parent so that they can influence liberal values into your kid without you knowing that that's happening and create a privacy barrier between you and your child so that even though they're not having kids of their own, they're going to still raise your kids in those values. And the education system is wholly liberal. Wholly liberal. I watched an entire debate. I don't know if it was Jubilee or not, but it was conservative parents against liberal teachers. And liberal teachers were constantly telling the parents, well, if you don't like our ideology, then don't send your kids to public school, homeschool your kids or send them to private school. No. I'm forced to pay for this system. I'm forced to pay for it. If you want to give me all of my money that I paid into the system and I can go send my kid where I want to, then fine. I will happily do that. but the government forced me to pay into this system for my kids. So I need to be able to dictate what happens in this service. Go ahead, Mideast.
Yeah, so I think it's funny. I was just curious, like what the AB laws are like in Russia, and when it comes to abortion, it's pretty interesting. So it's legal in Russia up to the 12th week of pregnancy upon request, up to 22 weeks in cases of rape, and at any time for medical reasons. However, the procedure has faced increasing legal restrictions, with many regions effectively banning private clinic access and penalizing the coercion or inducement of abortions. Access to safe abortion care is becoming increasingly constrained due to state policies encouraging population growth. I find that fascinating, especially based off of what we just talked about.
I love this comment. It says, you owe $50,000 on your children's medical bills, but we're not going to tell you what they are. Could you imagine? Your kid is over here like, yeah, I consent to getting all of this treatment. Don't worry. Mom's going to pick up the bill. I would sue. I would sue the state so hard on this. Thank you so much, Akua. He sent, or she sent, I don't know what your gender is. However, $20 on the super chat. Thank you, Millie. Keep up the good work. I certainly will, because I'm going to fight back on this as hard as possible. And that's a really good point. I'm glad that that user brought that up, because should I have to be on the hook for medical procedures that my children is agreeing to that I'm forced to pay for? Next thing you know, your kid is going to get plastic surgery and racks up like a $200,000 medical bill that you're on the hook for.
Sorry, but actually, what I could do for you, so Melissa, what is the best email?
I would lose my shit. I don't know how parents are protesting this. I really don't know how that was even allowed to take place. Hold on, what is this? Biological male transgender says he's going to an all-girls summer camp to live out his childhood dream amongst little girls. This is a grown adult male. Oh my God. Was there something you wanted to touch base with, Mideast, before I play this? Okay.
Hi, Internet. Help a girl out. I'm doing something very soon that's terrifying, exciting, and entirely Lindsay Lohan's fault. I'm going to an all-women summer camp. As a trans woman, I was a little afraid to ask, but they've told me all women are welcome, so I get to go reclaim a little piece of girlhood I thought I missed out on. But now it's getting closer, and I'm getting nervous, so I need all your summer camp advice. Hype me up in the comments and stick around. We're going to need to debrief after.
So this very obvious man, this grown adult overweight man, is going to an all-girls summer camp, and the camp says it's okay. By the way, if this guy is going to an all-girls camp, then it's not an all-girls camp because this guy is a biological male. Let's just take a look at the comments. Help a girl out, very obviously a man. Why are they obsessed with little girl aesthetics? I would very much think that there is more to it than we want to believe. So they immediately defeats the purpose of an all-girl resort. That's exactly what I just said. Help a girl out, says a man. Dude has a deeper voice than I do. Help a girl out, another man. So a lot of
Thank you, Derek. Derek sends $20 on the super chat. He says, thank you, Mr. Millie, for sharing your life with us. Is it life or wife? But yes, just so you guys know, Mr. Millie is officially home. So glad to have him back. We were very, very lucky because the Navy is never this nice. The Navy is never nice enough to have a short deployment. So I'm actually happy for him to be back home so soon, because honestly, it gets tiring after a couple of months of raising the kids by myself. So I'm glad he's back. What is the obsession, though, with adult males with this condition wanting to be close to young minor children? There's something very ick about it. Ask yourself, my husband would never feel the need to be like, I need to be around little minor girls. I need to go to a summer camp where I can specifically be around little minor girls as an adult. Unless you were a camp counselor, which, okay, it's a job. I could somewhat get that, even though I still find it very weird for a man to be doing that in that position. It's I want to relive this child fantasy that I felt that I was left out with. So does that mean that they're going to be sleeping inside of the dormitories that these little girls are staying at summer camp? I'm telling you, man, this is like pedophile behavior. There's something very ick about this. And the fact that the left is trying to normalize this behavior of adult males wanting access to young minor girls, very disturbing. Very disturbing. Take the trans out of it and look at it as it is. It's a adult male wanting access to young children at summer camp. It's gross. It's really gross. DSA member Linda Salazar calls for replacing the Declaration of Independence. Do we have the audacity to build a document that is our values? ? Well, first of all, that's regarded. The Declaration of Independence is stating our independence from the British monarchy. The Declaration of Independence is separate from the Constitution itself. And what is the portion that is weird about it, that the left is uncomfortable with? Is it saying that we have God-given rights? It lays out equal rights, the Declaration of Independence.
This is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. This is quote unquote America's birthday. And the question historically is going to be, what were we doing on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence? Do we have the audacity to sit around and say that we want to build a document that is our values and our principles and bring millions of Americans around it? And so I see people on the streets. I see mutual aid efforts. I see young people running for office. I see people of color, marginalized people getting up and saying, I'm the leader that I've been waiting for, and seeing people rally around those leaders. And so don't give up hope, folks. There's more to come. We're going to survive this. And some of us are going to be on the fight back, and some of us are going to be on the other side waiting to catch you when we win, because there got to be other people that are going to be building the thing that you're going to come to once we win this fight back, because we will win, my friend. So
this is why we should never be mass importing immigrants into this country from third world countries or from the Middle East. Okay. You come into this country, we give you the privileges, the access to amenities here, and then they come here and say, well, we want to dismantle America for what it actually is, and we want to recreate it in whatever our image is. No, that's not how this works.
Yeah, absolutely not. The quote unquote immigrants coming here. What the fudge does that even mean? Like, what do we mean? The quote unquote, 250th. No, it's the 250th. What are we talking about, quote unquote? And then you want to just have the audacity to change the Declaration of Independence? Are you saying like you want to have a new independence from the United States, that you want to tear down everything that we built and replace it with what you have brainwashed Americans into thinking? I'm sorry, when I say you, that is really just me summarizing the entire group: Russia, China, Iran, the Islamists, the PSA, the DSA, the PSL, I'm sorry, the DSA, Code Pink, all of the people that happen to agree with you and silence the rest of us. What are we exactly saying here? Because that, to me, that is like the wildest statement ever. The more that these people talk, the more the red flags go up, and I hope people are paying attention.
Yeah, and I like, the thing is that we're inviting people into this country that hate our country at a fundamental level, at its very foundation, starting with the Declaration of Independence. Why should we bring people into our country that genuinely hate America and what America actually is at its truest form? Why do we keep bringing these people in? The second that they open their mouth and say these things, I want them gone. I want them deported. Because if you're here to come into our country for sanctuary, because America is what it is, a safe haven, then turn back around and say, well, I just want to change everything that America is. You're just an enemy. You're an enemy here to dismantle America. And that's exactly how you should be treated. All right, guys, it is about 2:00. I'm going to wrap it up for the day. Let me make sure that I check on Cash App and make sure I didn't miss anybody. If anybody had sent anything over, I just don't want to get off without catching that. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good on all of that. Thank you everybody so much for supporting me on Cash App, and thank you so much for supporting me on TikTok Super Chats. I am extremely grateful that my community is even willing to come over to YouTube and Rumble. So thank you so much for doing this. And I'm liking this a lot more. I don't have to censor myself constantly. I can talk about things that are very important to me, like elections and midterms. So had a bit of a long stream today. It was a little bit difficult because I'm only on like 2 to 3 hours of sleep. So I'm even surprised I was able to read through half the documents I did. But love you all. And I will see you guys back on TikTok on Monday. And if things go weird and we need to switch over to YouTube, now you know exactly where to find us. So thank you, Middies, for joining us today. It was definitely fun. Definitely moist, according to Unrealness's language. But this was fun. I liked it.
Yeah,
So
you can keep paying me all the socks that you can get to me to come here and participate in this. I specifically like Bombas. If you can make sure that I receive 7,000 Bombas socks
I'll
by
make sure
next week,
Mossad
I'd really
knows.
appreciate it.
I'll make sure
Thank
Mossad knows for sure. So just people saying thank you, Millie. Love my childhood, but I'm trying not to creep on a child. Yeah, 100%. Love you, Millie. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us for this broadcast, and I will see you soon. All right. Let me see if I end this correctly.